In the dimly lit parking garage, inside a limited edition Rolls-Royce, the deep, husky male voice paused slightly. "Is it your first time?" The woman beneath him winced in pain, her face pale. Sheng Yue clenched the hem of the man's expensive shirt and trembled as she said, "Why you, get out." Chapter 1 First Time. First time. In the dim parking lot, in the limited edition Rolls-Royce, a low and hoarse male voice paused slightly. The woman's face turned pale with pain. Sheng Yue clutched the hem of the man's expensive shirt and said in a trembling voice, You get out. You weren't very bold when you seduced me just now. Now you have no say." The man's voice was overbearing and unquestionable. Well. After a long time of shaking, everything returned to calm. Sheng Yue collapsed in the seat and panted, and she couldn't move a finger because of tiredness. She looked at the man who was slowly buttoning his cufflinks beside her with a pair of watery almond eyes. Every move was pleasing to the eye. Elegant and calm. There was no lust on the man's cold and abstinent handsome face, and there was no trace of madness when he wanted to tear her apart when he made love just now. According to rumors, Qin Yinji is pure and unattached to women. If he hadn't had to control the family business, he might have left home long ago. But the personal experience just now made Sheng Yue completely understand what it means to spread false information to confuse the public. She touched her waist, which was so sore and weak that it seemed to be non-existent, and suddenly regretted her decision to provoke him. Qin Yinji slowly tied a string of Buddhist beads to his wrist bone, turned around, and it was the noble, cold, and unattainable prince of the Qin family again. "What do you want?" His tone was not cold, but indifferent and distant. Sheng Yue blinked and suddenly realized that he was going to pay for her money. She didn't feel insulted or despised. After all, she did get into his car on purpose and seduced him. No one would regard her as a decent girl. Sheng Yue's eyes moved, she weighed the pros and cons in her heart, and smiled. Mr. Qin misunderstood. Love between men and women is voluntary. I don't want anything. If Mr. Qin must want to give me something, then, sleep with me again. After all, the feeling just now was very good. Qin Yinji narrowed his eyes slightly, and suddenly bent down, and the oppressive feeling instantly enveloped Sheng Yue's whole body, making her subconsciously tense. The man pinched her little face with his long fingers and looked at her, and his thin lips raised a hint of mockery. "Do you really want nothing, or do you have a big plan?" He leaned close to her ear, his voice was low and seductive, which made people's hearts itch, but the words he spit out were stinging and poisonous. "I guess you think that my cheap brother Qi Xiao, who just recognized his ancestors, has too low a status in the Qin family, and you want to bypass him and become my Qin Yinji's wife directly. Or, do you want to use me to retaliate against him who has already betrayed you?" Sheng Yue froze all over, and looked at the man's long eyes full of teasing in shock. "No matter which one it is, you dare to show your thoughts in front of me. Do you really think you are worthy?" Sheng Yue was speechless. He knew her relationship with Qi Xiao, and knew that she hooked up with him to take revenge on Qi Xiao. But they had never met before. Her surprised expression pleased Qin Yinji, and he laughed, surprised. Qi Xiao had been investigated clearly before he recognized his ancestors, naturally including the women around him, such as you, his fiancée who has been with him for 5 years. So, he actually knew that she was Qi Xiao's fiancée, but he did not reject her seduction at all. Inexplicably, a sense of shame surged in her heart, making her want to dig out a 3-bedroom and 1-living-room house with her feet. A one-night stand that was supposed to be finished and then patted her butt and broke up suddenly had an inexplicable taste. Could it be that he felt that having an affair with his sister-in-law was particularly exciting, so he didn't expose her identity before? And now that he was done with the fun, he pulled up his pants and turned against her? Sheng Yue was thinking wildly, and said calmly, "Don't worry, I'm not interested in Mrs. Qin's position. After getting off this car, I have nothing to do with you." She came to him only because Qi Xiao cheated on Bai Yuyu, whom she regarded as her own sister. Then she slept with Qi Xiao's half-brother, which was considered reciprocity, wasn't it? At most, they were a love affair with a little revenge. She didn't intend to entangle him at all. Qin Yinji stared at her for a while with a mysterious look, as if trying to distinguish the truth from her words. After a while, he opened the car door and said lightly, "Get out." Sheng Yue paused, then grabbed the bag and got out of the car with a sore body. After walking a few steps, the sound of a car starting came from behind, and when she looked back, she only saw the taillights of the sports car disappearing around the corner. Sheng Yue stood there, with the corners of her mouth twitching. Where did the rumor come from saying that the Qin family's prince's words are like a gentleman, gentle as jade, and the most elegant and profound. Gentleman. That's it? Har. Chapter 2, 5 Years of Relationship Down the Drain. After leaving the underground garage, Sheng Yue returned to Nightfall. Tonight was the biennial Golden Palm Awards ceremony, where Qi Xiao unexpectedly won the Best Actor award. After the ceremony, he invited many people to celebrate at a city's top club. As Qi Xiao's fiancée, she naturally wouldn't miss it, and her best friend Bai Yu, who had the same agent, was also there. Entering the elevator, she glanced at her phone and saw a message from Qi Xiao sent 2 hours ago. Yeah, something urgent came up at the company. I'll leave first. Please be safe on your way home. I'll bring you your favorite egg drop soup tomorrow morning. She curled her lips, feeling a tinge of sarcasm. Hope you still have the appetite for breakfast tomorrow. 2 hours ago, she had just gone to the restroom and came out to see Qi Xiao and Bai Yu entering an empty private room together. She then overheard a conspiracy that revealed her supportive fiancé had already cheated with Bai Yu. They were plotting to drug her drink and send her to the bed of a man with a remarkable background tonight. Was she sad? 5 years of love thrown away, how could she not be sad? But more than sadness, there was anger, an urge to kick those two deceitful traitors. However, reason stopped her. She returned to the private room, acting nonchalant, and when no one was watching, returned the drug they had put in her cup. Before the drug took effect, she seized the opportunity to leave. By the time she returned to the room, both of them had disappeared, and others awkwardly expressed that they had to leave early. She knew better than to ask further and turned to locate their phones. Seeing their overlapping signals, she quickly sent an anonymous email to a paparazzo familiar with Qi Xiao's circle. Tomorrow's entertainment news should be quite thrilling. Back in the room, a group of handsome men and beautiful women in the entertainment industry were having a great time, barely noticing her. She felt sticky all over, but to avoid suspicion, she suppressed her discomfort and found a place to sit. Yujia, I looked for you everywhere. Where have you been? A sweet girl came over, affectionately linking her arm with hers. She was from the same agency as Qi Xiao and was his junior, often greeting her warmly and showing admiration. But she was also the first to cover for Qi Xiao with excuses earlier. Sheng Yue felt a sense of mockery inside but maintained her expression, gently pushing her hand away while reaching for a drink. It's a bit stuffy in here, I'll step out for some fresh air. And stepping out led her to bump into Qin Yanji, which ignited her blood, prompting her to follow him to the parking lot. She vaguely recalled what Qi Xiao's mother had said. Only those with profound backgrounds that cannot be easily traced are considered the true elite, the ones openly discussed out there are at most wealthy families. The Qin family represents power, wealth, and fame, the pinnacle of aristocratic power. If it weren't for a Xiao being recognized, you, a nobody, wouldn't even be worthy of knowing such a name. Thinking back, it seemed she had indeed provoked a big shot. Fortunately, from tonight's events, it seemed Qin Yanji wasn't at a loss either. In the end, they parted amicably without any trouble. Once she and Qi Xiao ended their engagement, they would be completely unrelated. With this thought, she gradually let go of her lingering apprehension. Chapter 3, So You Like This Forbidden Desire. In the study, Qin Yanji looked at Shuekai with a solemn expression. Are you sure there's no drug influence? Shuekai placed the freshly printed test report in front of him. There are no traces of drugs in your system, but the GN value has fluctuated. Lu Jinju couldn't help but interject, so, does this mean that second brother can't sleep with women even after he's recovered? Tonight, he had finally gotten his brother to come to Nightfall and had arranged for a few clean companions, but none caught second brother's eye. He had barely sat for a while before leaving. He thought all his efforts were in vain, but a phone call revealed that his brother, who had lived like a monk for nearly 30 years, could actually sleep with women. This was even more shocking and surprising than their father wanting him to inherit the Lu family. Shuekai twitched his lips. Second master's physiological condition is normal, it's just a pathological hypersensitivity caused by psychological factors that makes it difficult for him to feel desire for the opposite sex. According to what second master said earlier, he suddenly developed desire for a certain lady and doesn't reject being intimate with her. This is indeed a good sign, but it doesn't prove that it's not an isolated case. Isn't it easy to prove? Lu Jinju said excitedly. I'll go to Sheng Yue tomorrow and find a few beautiful ones for second brother to try, we'll know for sure. Qin Yanji cast a sidelong glance at him, not stern, but it made Lu Jinju tense up immediately. He awkwardly smiled. I was just joking. Second brother wouldn't be interested in those common girls. Qin Yanji said nothing. Yet, a woman's tearful face suddenly flashed in his mind, with her eyes brimming with tears and her full, red lips. His gaze deepened. He took off the beads from his wrist, gently rubbing them with his fingertips, suppressing the sudden surge of desire. By the way, second brother, which family does the lady you were with tonight belong to? Do I know her? Lu Jinju, trying to be serious for a moment, quickly returned to his teasing demeanor, winking at Qin Yanji. Qin Yanji narrowed his eyes, rolling the name around in his mouth before slowly speaking it. Sheng Yue. Lu Jinju looked bewildered for a moment before suddenly widening his eyes. Sheng Yue? The fiancé of that illegitimate child of our uncle. Wow, so that's second brother's sister-in-law and sister-in-law. Lu Jinju was thrilled. No wonder you didn't feel anything for the women I brought before, it turns out you like this sense of taboo. Qin Yanji's eyes darkened slightly. Sister-in-law? Not for long. Nightfall. Sheng Yue endured for more than half an hour, estimating that the paparazzi must have finished their shooting, so she got up to leave. Ling Wei and a few others, who also had work the next day, planned to say goodbye together. Once outside the club, Ling Wei invited her. Yu Jie, let me give you a ride. Sheng Yue politely declined, bidding farewell to a few people before stepping to the roadside to hail a cab. Sheng Yue is beautiful and quite capable, but she's just unlucky and hasn't been able to become famous. Watching her leave alone, someone sighed. She has a keen eye, it's just about reading people, someone beside them said meaningfully, who knows if her luck is being taken by someone else. Ling Wei turned back to look in Sheng Yue's direction, suddenly noticing a Rolls-Royce stop in front of her. A middle-aged man got out, and they seemed to say something before he opened the car door for her, and Sheng Yue bent down to get in. Quick as a flash, she discreetly snapped a photo of the scene. Someone patted Ling Wei on the shoulder, teasing, Xiao Wei, you worried for nothing. Didn't your Yu Jie have someone come to pick her up? TSK, and it's a limited edition Rolls-Royce, the wheels are even more expensive than my car, someone with a passion for cars exclaimed enviously. Ling Wei put away her phone, looking innocently curious. I didn't expect Yu Jie to know such a wealthy friend. That uncle looked quite old, could he be Yu Jie's old friend? Others glanced at her and chuckled, not responding. What, old friend? They just wanted to imply that Sheng Yue was being supported by a rich man. This girl was young but had quite a few thoughts. It was a shame that Sheng Yue had always taken care of her. Sheng Yue naturally had no idea about Ling Wei's thoughts. At this moment, she was just surprised that Qin Yanji hadn't been completely heartless and had arranged for someone to send her home. Just as she finished her thought, her phone suddenly rang. Looking at the incoming call, she saw an unknown number. Hello, who is this? She answered suspiciously. A cold male voice came from the other end. Make time tomorrow evening, the driver will come to pick you up. It wasn't a discussion but a notification. That inarguable tone could only belong to Qin Yanji. Sheng Yue paused. She wasn't surprised that Qin Yanji knew her number, she just wondered what he meant. Picking her up? Where was he taking her? Did he want to continue summoning her for serving? She narrowed her eyes. Does Mr. Qin need something from me tomorrow? He chuckled lightly on the other end. Sheng Yue, you should be a smart person. Sheng Yue scratched her palm with her fingertips, feeling a flare of anger. Was she some sort of cold indispose? What did he take her for? She lowered her eyes and smiled. The title of Mrs. Qin is quite tempting, I'm afraid I won't be able to control myself. So, she wouldn't play along? The other party's tone remained unchanged, simply replying, is that so? Then the call ended. Sheng Yue listened to the busy tone, pondering whether he was angry. It shouldn't be, she didn't have that kind of charm that would make someone unable to give up until they got what they wanted. He was probably just annoyed that she didn't know how to appreciate it. Thinking this way, she shrugged it off. Chapter 4, Deliberate Smear Campaign. The next day, just as dawn broke, Sheng Yue was awakened by loud noises coming from the living room. With a headache, she stepped out of her room to find a sophisticated middle-aged woman directing workers as they moved her piano. Aunt Chi, what are you doing? Sheng Yue's expression darkened. At that moment, she deeply regretted giving Qi Yunmai a key to her home after being coaxed by Qi Xiao, resulting in frequent unexpected visits that left her overwhelmed. Chi Yunmei's eyes flickered as she walked over, taking Sheng Yue's hand with a beaming smile. Little Yu, Aunt is just helping you move this piano since it's taking up too much space, creating some room for you. She had heard that the piano cost nearly $1 million when bought, and selling it could fetch tens of thousands, enough for her to enjoy a little time in the casino. HMPH. If the Qin family had agreed to let Qi Xiao change his surname, he wouldn't have been cut off from any resources, and she wouldn't have bothered with this impoverished girl. By the way, you should pack up and move out today. Qi Xiao's cousin is coming to a city and has nowhere to stay, so I'm arranging for him to stay here for a while. You'll be in the filming crew for a month or two anyway, so the place will just be empty. Also, you can let Ximing use your car, it'll just sit idle otherwise and get damaged. Sheng Yue was infuriated by her presumptuousness and turned to the bewildered workers. I'm not moving the piano, you can leave. Little Yu, didn't you hear what I said? Qi Yunmei's expression darkened, annoyance creeping into her eyes. Ignoring her, Sheng Yue sent the workers out before turning back to Qi Yunmei, extending her hand and speaking firmly, Aunt Qi, please return my house key. Her abrupt change in attitude made Qi Yunmei's expression shift dramatically, losing the earlier friendliness as she reprimanded sharply, Little Yu, is this how you treat your elders? I told you Qi Xiao shouldn't have been with an orphan like you, you have no manners at all. Sheng Yue scoffed, a well-mannered person. Wouldn't barge into someone else's home, wouldn't touch their belongings without permission, and certainly wouldn't presumptuously demand that someone hand over their home and car to someone entirely unrelated. Give me the key and please leave. Leave. Qi Yunmei laughed angrily. This is my son's house, you're the one who should leave. Who told you this is Qi Xiao's house? This house has always belonged to me, every cent earned by me. As an orphan, what she wanted most was a home that truly belonged to her, which is why she had worked tirelessly over the years to buy a place. Later, when she accompanied Qi Xiao into the entertainment industry, she hustled for gigs like a workhorse, also trying to help Qi Xiao find resources, leaving her with no time to improve her acting skills, resulting in her still lingering in the 4th and 5th tiers. Qi Yunmei sneered at her. That's not certain. It's the black and white contract that decides ownership. Sheng Yue's heart sank. What do you mean? What contract? Annoyance flickered in Qi Yunmei's eyes as she snapped, I don't know anything about contracts, just know that you have half a day to move out. With that, she stormed out, slamming the door. Furrowing her brows, Sheng Yue felt a vague sense of unease. She didn't believe Qi Yunmei would mention a contract for no reason. The more she thought about it, the more uneasy she became. She returned to her room, found her phone, and logged into a legal website to check the property rights for her house. When she saw Qi Xiao's name listed as the property owner, it felt as though she had been struck by lightning, leaving her frozen in place. How could this be? Why had her house become Qi Xiao's? In a daze, she recalled the night of their engagement 6 months ago when, coaxed by him into drinking, she had signed something while intoxicated. Her lips trembled as she quickly checked the date of the property transfer. The next moment, she closed her eyes. Sure enough, it was 6 months ago. So, Qi Xiao had been eyeing her house for a long time, and last night, he had completely betrayed her, intending to hand her over to an investor in exchange for resources. What a utilitarian. She pressed her hand to her chest. Well, it no longer hurt. Because at this moment, she was filled with murderous rage. Suddenly, her phone rang insistently. Seeing the caller ID, she sneered and answered. You, the news online is a deliberate smear campaign by the rival family, don't believe it. After I left the club last night, I was at the company handling work, Reng and the others were there too. Qi Xiao's voice was low and hoarse, calm yet filled with an air of credibility. However, upon hearing that voice, Sheng Yue felt her stomach churn, memories of his sickly calculations from the previous night resurfacing. She barely suppressed her nausea. Oh really? Pulling up Weibo, it was as expected, Qi Xiao's name dominated the trending topics. Chapter 5, Dreaming is Faster. Casually scrolling through, Sheng Yue stumbled upon a photo of Qi Xiao wearing a mask alongside a heavily disguised woman, both emerging from a hotel room. There were also numerous photos of them hugging in a parking lot, and one taken by a drone through their hotel curtains showing them kissing. The photos weren't high definition, nor were they frontal shots, but those familiar with them could still guess their identities. The comments had already surpassed 10,000 and were increasing rapidly. Wasn't it said that actor Qi has had a girlfriend in the industry for many years? Is this a couple being intimate without closing the curtains? Mysterious girlfriend codenamed S. Today's revelation is that the one spending the night with actor Chi is actress B, clearly showing it's cheating. TSK, Chi Xiao has always claimed to be devoted and would love S girlfriend for life. And this really proves that a man's words are deceitful. By the way, who exactly is this B actress? Bei Jia? Bo Wenyao? Bai Qin? It can't possibly be Bai Luosi, right? Har har, Bai Luosi. I'm afraid actor Chi can't handle the weight of goddess Luosi. Hash wink wink hash. I'm just watching and not speaking, waiting for the official explanation, lie. Blind guess, S girlfriend will forgive actor Chi because he just made a mistake all men make. Hash funny hash. Forgive. The kind of forgiveness that wouldn't crush him. Sheng Yue smiled coldly. B actress. How coincidental, Yuyo's last name starts with B, and you both left early last night. So, did you sleep with her? Chi Xiao paused, seemingly caught off guard by her guess. His tone tightened, revealing a hint of hurt and anger from being misunderstood. What nonsense are you talking about? I told you those are all rumors. Would you rather believe those baseless news than trust me? The angrier he became, the guiltier he sounded. Sheng Yue smirked, her tone softening. Of course, I believe you. Chi Xiao seemed to relax. You, listen to me. The company is investigating who is behind this smear campaign, but it'll take some time. The current online sentiment is against me, and I hope you can help me. How can I help you? Sheng Yue asked, lowering her gaze. All you need to do is issue a statement saying you were with me the whole night, and I'll handle the rest. Sheng Yue silently scoffed. 5 years of dating, 6 months of engagement. Although many in the industry knew their relationship, Chi Xiao had never considered introducing her to the outside world, claiming he wanted to protect her from fan backlash. But once trouble arose, he completely forgot to protect her. Fine, wait for me, I'll think about how to phrase it. She hung up abruptly. Still expecting her to issue a statement. Dreaming is faster. If it weren't for the ongoing issue with the house, she would have torn her relationship with Chi Xiao apart right then. Suppressing her anger, she quickly washed up, changed clothes, and drove to the law firm she had arranged. In the hotel suite, Chi Xiao threw his phone aside with a dark expression. Beside him, his manager, Yuan Mu, asked, did Sheng Yue agree to issue a statement? She'll issue it later, Chi Xiao replied in a deep voice. Have we found out who's trying to get me? We traced the news back to a paparazzo from Lu Shui's side. The company has already sent someone to buy off the videos and photos, it's going to cost us. Chi Xiao sneered, it's him again. Once Sheng Yue issues her statement, we'll have our people release information about Lu Shui's fans. If he's unkind, he can't blame me for being ruthless. Yuan Mu nodded. With Lu Shui diverting public attention and Sheng Yue's statement, the marketing accounts and water army can stir things up a bit, we should be able to suppress this incident. However, you need to be prepared. No matter how much we cover this up, there will always be traces left behind, and people will definitely question you. If something like this happens again, your image will collapse even further. This was both a reminder and a warning. I'll keep an eye on things. Once you're ready, head to the company. Director Zhao has a movie with a lead role still undecided, and he's considering you. Got it. Thanks for taking care of this for me, Chi Xiao nodded. Yuan Mu patted his shoulder and stood up to leave. A girl with a pure appearance, Bai Yuyo, quickly stood up as he left. Brother Yuan, take care. Yuan Mu didn't even glance at her as he exited. Bai Yuyo's eyes darkened momentarily, looking pitifully at Chi Xiao. Brother Xiao, does Brother Yuan blame me for dragging you down? Chi Xiao remained silent for a moment. It's got nothing to do with you. Though he said it wasn't her fault, he was somewhat venting his anger. What was the deal with the drug? Why did I end up drinking it with you? I'm sure I gave the drug to Sheng Yue at that time. Could it be she switched our cups? Bai Yuyo speculated. Chapter 6, Impossible. Impossible. Chi Xiao firmly denied it. Sheng Yue is not like you, she doesn't have that kind of cunning. Bai Yuyo felt a blockage in her chest. Suppressing her displeasure, she spoke softly, it's too late to investigate who's framing us, what's urgent now is another matter. President Qin must be very disappointed last night. Chi Xiao's expression shifted slightly. Rubbing his forehead, he replied irritably, I'll explain it to him later. Bai Yuyo's gaze flickered. Actually, as long as President Qin gets what he wants, he probably won't pursue this matter. Qi Xiao looked at her with a complex expression. Sheng Yue has always regarded you as a sister. Who am I doing this for? Bai Yuyo protested, looking aggrieved. Aren't I just trying to help you get back to the Qin family sooner? Internally, she sneered, that foolish woman had been completely devoted to you, Qi Xiao. Yet for your own sake, you've schemed against her without hesitation. Qi Xiao lowered his eyes, suppressing the humiliation he felt deep inside. Half a year ago, his mother suddenly told him that he was actually the son of the Qin family's patriarch, urging him to return to the Qin family and acknowledge his roots. After learning about the Qin family's profound background and power, he was completely exhilarated. However, after all his efforts, he had not been granted the right to change his surname to Qin, and thus could not be considered a true member of the Qin family. As a result, he was unable to enjoy any family resources, connections, or wealth. He remained the entertainment industry's scorned actor, looked down upon by the powerful families. Eventually, he found out that the elders of the Qin family disapproved of his status as an illegitimate child and had deliberately prevented him from changing his surname. He was angry and resentful, but it was of no use. It wasn't until Bai Yuyo connected with a prominent member of the Qin family, who happened to take an interest in Sheng Yue, that, under Bai Yuyo's persuasion, he agreed to send Sheng Yue to the man's bed to negotiate for him to reclaim his surname. After a while, he sighed and pulled Bai Yuyo into his embrace. I know you're doing this for me. If there were another way, you wouldn't want to hurt Sheng Yue. Of course, Sheng Yue has been so good to me. If it weren't for you, how could I betray her? Bai Yuyo's voice trembled. For you, I'm willing to give up my reputation and my conscience. You can't ignore me. Of course not. How could I not care about you? As they spoke, the two of them fell onto the bed. After some time, Bai Yuyo tentatively asked, when shall we arrange for Sheng Yue to meet President Qin? Qi Xiao paused for a moment. Tomorrow. If they waited too long, he feared that the family member would lose interest in Sheng Yue, which would be counterproductive. Bai Yuyo smirked in satisfaction in his arms. She imagined Sheng Yue pleading in pain beneath the older man. Sheng Yue walked out of the law firm with a grim expression, the lawyer's words echoing in her ears. Miss Sheng, if you can't prove that you were in an unconscious state when you signed the property and shares transfer agreement, it will be extremely difficult to reclaim them. Indeed, aside from the house, her car, shop, and shares in two small companies had all been transferred to Qi Xiao's name. If it weren't for her bank card being linked to her phone, which would alert her of any activity, her funds would likely have been drained as well. She sat dazed on a bench by the roadside, her mind in disarray. She couldn't understand why, given Qi Xiao's current fame and status, he would still covet her meager possessions. Could it be that her unwavering devotion had led him to believe that everything she owned should belong to him? She gave a bitter smile. Who could she blame? Only herself for being too foolish and overestimating human nature. Rubbing her face, she exhaled heavily. No matter what, she could not hand over her belongings to that ingrate. Fortunately, she still had some leverage. Taking out her phone, she noticed that, in contrast to the previous one-sided online sentiment, there were now many voices defending Qi Xiao, indicating that a professional team was at work. Sheng Yue wasn't surprised. She hadn't expected to pin them down based solely on a few photos that didn't even show their faces. She made a call, saying, send the materials to my email and keep an eye on them. I'll transfer your payment later. 5 minutes later, she received nearly 100 high-definition photos from various angles, as well as a dozen videos. Her expression remained impassive as she flipped through them. In addition to paparazzi, she had also hired private investigators, who had significantly better professional ethics than paparazzi. Every photo she held could incriminate the couple. However, it wasn't the right time yet. When they thought the incident had settled and they could relax, that's when she would release the evidence, ensuring they would be pleasantly surprised. Chapter 7. I am the woman of Qin Yanji, the second master of the Qin family. Under the azure sky, a red target soared into the air, tracing a parabolic arc. Bang! The target exploded at its peak. Immediately after, the mechanical sound of reloading filled the air. Bang! Bang! Amid the series of explosions, Qin Yanji calmly shot down every target without missing a single one. Second Master's marksmanship is still so precise, we really feel ashamed. The people nearby clapped, some in admiration and some in flattery. Qin Yanji turned to the man who spoke, have you served in the military? The man was taken aback to be singled out by Qin Yanji and replied, flustered, I was a soldier for a few years when I was younger, but I retired due to health issues. With an elegant yet casual demeanor, Qin Yanji loaded a few bullets. Since you've been a soldier, you should know that the most disciplined soldiers only listen to one person's orders. The man's smile froze, and cold sweat began to bead on his forehead. Click. Qin Yanji raised his gun and said slowly, and those with weak resolve, who try to play both sides, often meet their demise the fastest. With a pull of the trigger, a bullet shot swiftly toward the target in the air. Bang! A firework erupted, and fragments fell from the sky, disappearing without a trace. The man's legs went weak, and he fell to the ground. Second Master, I didn't betray you. You just accidentally sold the person I intended to support to Qin Kai, almost costing me both resources and wealth. Qin Yanji looked down at him, his cool brows and eyes resembling sharp, cold bamboo, unfeeling and detached. The man trembled at his feet, wanting to beg for mercy or to explain, but his throat felt choked as if tangled in a mass of weeds, and he couldn't utter a sound. Qin Yanji raised his hand, and immediately someone came to drag the man away. The others fell silent, and as Qin Yanji lifted his ink-black eyes, he smiled gently, everyone, please continue. The crowd, feeling as if they had been granted amnesty, hurriedly agreed and dispersed. At that moment, Lu Jinzhao approached with a mysterious expression, saying, Second brother, I just set up a card game, want to join for a couple of rounds. Qin Yanji glanced at him, clearly seeing that there was more to it than just a card game. What's going on now? Lu Jinzhao chuckled, you'll see, you'll definitely like it. Inside the spacious private room, the temperature was perfectly adjusted, but Sheng Yue's tightly clenched fists were soaked with layers of sweat. It was a mix of nervousness and anger. She hadn't expected that after Qi Xiao and Bai Yuyo's previous scheme against her failed, they would dare to target her again. She looked at the man across from her. He was in his 40s, smiling, handsome, and exuding an extraordinary presence, yet his gaze made her particularly uncomfortable. Half an hour ago, she had arrived at Chunshan, an extremely secretive private villa, a den of indulgence where only the rich and powerful could enter, and those who did had to be of extraordinary status. She had wondered how Qi Xiao could get in, only to see him warmly inviting this man inside. And this man was precisely the client Qi Xiao had prepared for her the night before. She coldly observed Qi Xiao making excuses to leave. What was there to not understand? This scoundrel still hadn't given up and was planning to sell her to another man. No wonder he didn't seek her out after she failed to issue a clarification statement as instructed yesterday. Instead, he had the mood to invite her here to play. Her reason for coming was to hide surveillance equipment on him. After all, only by holding more leverage could she fight back against him and reclaim her possessions. Miss Sheng, I don't like to force people, so you don't need to be nervous. Let's just consider today a chance to make a friend. Let's sit down and have a cup of tea. The tea here is quite good. Noticing her wariness, the man smiled and pushed a cup of brewed tea toward her. Sheng Yue didn't touch the tea. Thank you for your kindness, Mr. Qin, but I have a strong taste and don't enjoy tea. That's fine. I hold Miss Sheng in high regard. As long as you like it, I will do my best to accommodate. Sheng Yue's gaze turned slightly cold, her expression betraying nothing. No need, what I want, I will earn myself. Mr. Qin, I have something else to attend to, so I won't keep you company today. With that, she stood up to leave, but as she reached the door, 2 bodyguards blocked her path. Behind her, Qin Hui said leisurely, if Miss Sheng has something to say, why not tell me? Perhaps I can help in some way. Sheng Yue secretly reached into her bag, grasping her pepper spray. No need, it's just a small matter. Since it's just a small matter, there's no need to rush. Miss Sheng, why not stay and have some fun? Qin Hui stepped closer to her, attempting to take her hand. Sheng Yue instinctively slapped his hand away. Don't touch me. Qin Hui's expression darkened instantly. If you won't accept a toast, you'll have to take a penalty drink. I, Qin Hui, have never failed to obtain what I desire. Hold her down. 2 bodyguards immediately reached for Sheng Yue. She dodged and found herself cornered, watching 3 men closing in on her, cold sweat soaking her back. She forced herself to remain calm, trying to threaten them with bravado. Try touching me. I am the woman of Qin Yanji, the second master of the Qin family. Chapter 8, I thought you liked this tune. Qin Hui seemed to hear the biggest joke ever, laughing so hard he nearly fell over. Let me teach you something, Second Master Qin is not someone like you can mess with. You can say that in front of me, and I might take it as a joke, but in front of the Second Master, you can only pray for a quick death. After finishing his laugh, he reached out to grab Sheng Yue's clothes. With her back against the wall and no way to escape, Sheng Yue gritted her teeth, pulled out her pepper spray, and sprayed it fiercely at the bodyguard while kicking hard at Qin Hui's groin. The bodyguard screamed and covered his eyes, while Qin Hui doubled over in pain, falling to the ground and howling. Seizing the opportunity, Sheng Yue rushed toward the door, flinging it open and running out. Get her! I want that B*TCH dead! Qin Hui roared behind her. The winding corridor featured massive floor-to-ceiling windows revealing breathtaking views, but Sheng Yue had no time to admire, she was too busy fleeing. Behind her, Qin Hui and his bodyguards were hot on her heels. In her panic, she spotted the only private room at the end of the corridor, its exceptionally tall door distinct from the others, with the nameplate hanging down, clearly indicating guests inside. Resolute, she dashed toward it. Inside the luxurious room, Qin Yanji was casually playing cards, his movements relaxed yet captivatingly graceful. Beside him sat a beautiful woman, her figure alluring, smiling with an air of charm that was both elegant and lively. Second Master, your luck is really good today, she said with a smile as Qin Yanji won another round. Qin Yanji chuckled, perhaps it's your good fortune rubbing off on me. In response to his smile, the woman leaned in closer, her eyes sparkling with something extra. I wouldn't dare take credit, you're the god of wealth, and fortune naturally gathers around you. Qin Yanji lifted his tea, distancing himself from her, be careful, it's hot. The woman took the hint and sat up straight. Lu Jinzhao, who had been glancing over, leaned closer and whispered, doesn't this second brother suit your taste? Or perhaps the one by the window? She's your nephew's wife. That one in the white dress works too, she's from the fifth master's family, so she's technically your sister-in-law. Qin Yanji gave him a flat look. Lu Jinzhao shivered, his voice dropping, I thought you liked this type. Bang! The door to the private room was suddenly slammed open, drawing everyone's attention instantly. Qin Yanji squinted at the newcomer, a smile gradually forming on his lips. In that moment, Sheng Yue felt as if she were being eyed by a fierce beast, a shiver running down her spine, but she had no time to ponder as her gaze swept the room and landed on Qin Yanji, who sat at the head of the table, his expression calm and high above, as if he were a deity. His powerful aura created a vacuum around him, despite the crowd, no one could approach him. Seeing him, Sheng Yue was first startled, then overjoyed. Qin Yanji! She rushed forward and, in front of everyone's astonished faces, sat down abruptly in his lap, wrapping her arms around his neck and whispering, someone is trying to force me, please help me. Qin Yanji's gaze deepened, and he raised his hand, dismissing the approaching bodyguards. He held her waist, his lips curving into a smile, how do you want me to help you, future sister-in-law? The last four words, spoken from his lips, carried an inexplicable hint of intimacy. Sheng Yue stiffened, realizing the stares from those around her were becoming increasingly unusual. Suppressing her embarrassment, she was about to speak when more people rushed in from outside, Qin Hui and his companions. Qin Hui's face turned furious, ready to shout, but upon seeing the man holding Sheng Yue, he instantly resembled a chicken with its throat grabbed, his roar caught in his throat, trembling in fear. Second Master. This woman hadn't lied, she really knew Qin Yanji and had an unusual relationship with him. He nearly made the mistake of trying to force himself on Qin Yanji's woman. Qin Yanji glanced over coolly, you barged in here so urgently, is there something you need? Qin Hui's face twitched, trying to muster a smile, but the fear spreading in his heart made it impossible, he looked utterly ridiculous. No, I didn't know you were here. I just wanted to joke with Miss Sheng, I didn't mean to scare her. Sheng Yue looked at the man who had just cornered her into a panic, now shrinking back like a timid mouse, and felt a mix of satisfaction and sadness. This was the power of authority. Qin Yanji raised a hand to stroke her back, as if comforting her. Since it's a joke, how about I make one too? That number 8 line you have, I'll send someone to take over later. Chapter 9 The second time. Qin Hui's face turned pale. Line 8 was the foundation of his foothold in the Qin family. Once it was taken away, he would become the most ordinary member of the Qin family, and could only eat and wait for death. In recent years, he has relied on his power to bully people. Once he loses power, those people will definitely retaliate fiercely. Thinking of this, he trembled and crawled to Qin Yanji's feet, begging, second master, I will never dare to do it again. Please forgive me once, I. Qin Yanji raised his hand and interrupted him, line 8 or the prison, you choose one. Those who commit crimes will be whipped 100 times. If they don't die, they will be disabled. You can only choose between money and life. The Qin family has been able to stand for hundreds of years. Even though Shinku is inevitable, the laws and regulations on the family members are also very strict. Qin Hui's throat was pinched and he could no longer utter a sound. After a long time, he fell to the ground with a grey face and hung his head. If he knew he would pay such a price, he would never touch Sheng Yue even if he became a eunuch. No, if it weren't for the damned Qi Xiao and Bai Yu, he would never touch Sheng Yue. How could he run into the hands of the second master? Thinking of this, he suddenly had an outlet for his resentment, and a raging anger rose in his eyes. Soon, Qin Hui was taken away, but the box was still quiet. What are you doing? Keep playing. Qin Yanji said lightly. So, the box became lively again, but everyone looked at Sheng Yue vaguely. Who is this person? Not only did she flirt with the prince in public, but the prince didn't throw her out, but vented his anger for her. The prince called her his sister-in-law before. Could she be the Qin family's master's person? Thinking of this, everyone's eyes became more and more weird. TSK, the eldest brother-in-law and his sister-in-law, they know how to play. Suddenly, Lu Jinju, who had been staring at Sheng Yue, clapped his hands and jumped up excitedly. You are Sheng. As soon as he uttered the word Sheng, Qin Yanji looked over and froze him instantly. He laughed dryly, second brother, I remembered that I have something to do, so I'm leaving first. Forget it, he still didn't stay here and disturb his second brother. Seeing him run away, the others looked at each other and got up and left one after another. Soon, only Qin Yanji and Sheng Yue were left in the box. Qin Yanji slowly took off his silver-rimmed glasses. In an instant, as if the seal was unlocked, his cold and abstinent handsome face was instantly filled with heart-pounding oppression and aggression. He pinched Sheng Yue's chin, forced her to look directly at him, and smiled, second time. The first time, he borrowed him to cuckold Qi Xiao, and this time he borrowed him to get rid of trouble. Sheng Yue paused and said tentatively, thank you. Qin Yanji said indifferently, you are good at taking advantage. Sheng Yue laughed dryly, but then she remembered that Qi Xiao was of the Qin family, and that Qin Hui was also a member of the Qin family. Those who troubled her were all members of the Qin family. She was the victim, and he, the prince of the Qin family, must be responsible, right? Thinking of this, she straightened her back and said righteously, if it weren't for your good brother, I wouldn't have gotten into trouble at all. Qin Yanji was not angry, and chuckled, what did he do to you? Sheng Yue gritted her teeth, he deliberately led me here to give me to the man just now. Last time he secretly drugged her, but this time he didn't cover it up at all. How confident is this, thinking that she won't resist? Thinking of the complicated look in Qi Xiao's eyes before he left, she felt sick. Her eyes moved slightly, if I want to deal with Qi Xiao, will the Qin family care? For example, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. A cold light flashed in Sheng Yue's eyes. Qin Yanji raised his eyebrows, you don't care about the relationship. Sheng Yue's expression faded, and she was about to get up from him, second master Qin is worried about his brother. Qin Yanji pulled her back into his arms, what brother? I have a misophobia and hate dirt. Sheng Yue smiled, and was about to hook her arm around his neck again, but suddenly froze. Damn, what is she doing? As soon as she raised her head and met Qin Yanji's gloomy eyes, she suddenly recalled the night in the dim car, when he was sweating profusely. Sheng Yue's face suddenly became hot, and she twisted her body subconsciously, and then her body froze, looking at Qin Yanji in disbelief. This man is actually in heat. Qin Yanji did not hide his desire. After being single for nearly 30 years, it was rare for him to meet a woman who could arouse his desire, so he naturally didn't mind being more unbridled. As for Sheng Yue, no matter what purpose she had in approaching him, she would not escape his control. After all, they were two people who had slept together, and it was very easy to evoke physical memories. Gradually, lust surged in each other's eyes. It was unknown who took the initiative first. When Sheng Yue reacted, she was already hanging on Qin Yanji like an octopus. After another dizzy spell, she was completely pulled into their vortex of desire. In the Qi family villa, Qi Xiao lay expressionlessly on the sofa, not knowing what he was thinking. Bai Yu came over, wrapped her arms around his neck, and said softly, "Brother Xiao, those who achieve great things don't care about trivial matters. Besides, Sheng Yue loves you so much. If she knew your difficulties, she wouldn't blame you." Qi Xiao pulled her hand off and said in annoyance, "What's the point of saying this now?" As long as he thought of Sheng Yue lying under another man and enjoying herself, he wanted to kill someone. Maybe he didn't love Sheng Yue deeply, but Sheng Yue's 5 years of devotion to him was too touching for him, and he had already regarded Sheng Yue as his property. If he didn't want to be a real member of the Qin family, he would never push Sheng Yue out to please Qin Hui. He would marry her, let her quit the circle and be the woman behind him, give her 2 children, and she would become the wife of a famous actor and live a rich and happy life. However, one wrong step, and they can never turn back. Chapter 10 Buyout for 5 million. Bai Yu didn't miss the regret in his eyes, and didn't care. After this, she didn't believe Qi Xiao would marry Sheng Yue, a broken woman. And Qin Hui promised her that he would give her the bed photos after sleeping with Sheng Yue, and then post them online. She wanted to see if Sheng Yue still had the face to stay with Qi Xiao. He was full of malice in his heart, but his face didn't show it at all. "I heard that Brother Yuan got the photos and videos back. Buyout for 5 million. Qi Xiao felt distressed when he mentioned this. After all, he had to pay for it. Although there was no conclusive evidence of his cheating on the internet, he still lost a lot of fans. A blue blood endorsement that he had been trying hard to get some time ago also declined him. In addition to their buyout fee and the money for hiring Water Army, his loss this time was really not small. Bai Yu also felt a little bit painful. Didn't they say who leaked the information? They still have this bit of manners. If they reveal the whistleblower, they will not be able to mix in this business. Bai Yu thought of the cup of drugged water again, and always felt that it was related to Sheng Yue. She changed the subject and asked, "Are you going to take Director Zhao's new play? Come to think of it, I haven't filmed a play with you yet." Qi Xiao shook his head. "I'm a little unsure about the script, let's wait. After a pause, I'll decide after Sheng Yue has read it." Bai Yu's eyes darkened, and she smiled and said, "Sheng Yue has always had a good eye, it's good to have her to check it." However, the two of them waited for 3 or 4 days. In the room, clothes were scattered all over the floor, and it was a mess. The moonlight shone in from the huge French window, outlining the entangled man and woman on the bed. Suddenly, a slender white arm struggled to reach out from under the sheets, but was caught back by a slender hand in an instant. After a long time, Sheng Yue collapsed on the bed, panting, and asked the man weakly, "Do you really not need to make up?" For 3 consecutive days, she did not get off the bed. He was not afraid of dying of exhaustion, but she was afraid of being killed in bed. Qin Yanji paused with his hand holding the water cup, turned back and glanced at her indifferently. "Do you want to make up? Try again." Sheng Yue shuddered, wrapped herself tightly in the bed sheet, and said flatteringly, "Second master is extraordinary and extraordinary. Another 800 rounds of fighting is no problem." Qin Yanji was very satisfied with her awareness, turned over, and covered him again. "I'll reward you again." Before Sheng Yue refused, she was dragged into the sheets. After another night of extreme absurdity, Qin Yanji finally let her go, and Sheng Yue was like a dead fish, even her hair was decadent. She lay on the bed weakly, tilting her head to look at the man who was slowly getting dressed. The man's eyebrows and eyes were moist, and he was obviously in a very good mood. She secretly gritted her teeth. This man must have the evil magic of replenishing yin and yang. Otherwise, how could he be so energetic after doing it for 4 days in a row? Qin Yanji turned around and said, "The doctor will be here later. You should rest well these days." Sheng Yue rolled her eyes and didn't want to talk. Qin Yanji walked back to the bed, bent down, supported his arms on both sides of her, and stared at her. "Also, cancel the engagement with Qi Xiao." Sheng Yue paused. She would definitely cancel the marriage, but she and Qi Xiao had many interests involved, and she was afraid that she couldn't cancel it for a while. Besides, if Qi Xiao dared to betray her, she would definitely peel off his skin. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but perfunctorily say, "Oh, I know." Qin Yanji narrowed his eyes and pinched her chin. "If you want to be with me, you'd better not get entangled with other men." Sheng Yue smiled, "You are quite moral. They have slept together 5, 6, 7 or 8 times, and it's not too late to mind now." Qin Yanji ignored her ridicule and rubbed her lips with his fingertips. "Be good, be obedient. Some pampering, but more of a warning." Qin Yanji left, leaving behind an unlimited black card and a set of keys. To Lianjinju Villa. Looking at the things in front of her, Sheng Yue laughed at herself. This is really raising her as a little lover. Chapter 11. I'm not familiar with him. After leaving Chunshangyuan, she returned to her own residence. Unexpectedly, she saw Qi Xiao and Bai Yuyu were there when she opened the door. As soon as she entered, the two stood up and greeted her with great surprise. Yeah, where have you been these days? Sheng Yue glanced at the two depressions on the sofa that had not yet bounced up. They were very close to each other. It was obvious that the two had just hugged each other or stuck together. Why did you come together? Sheng Yue looked indifferent. Bai Yuyu explained, I came to see if you were back in the morning. I didn't expect Brother Xiao to be there, so I stayed at home to wait for you. Qi Xiao next to her didn't say anything, but just stared at Sheng Yue, as if verifying something inch by inch. Sheng Yue has a gorgeous and bright appearance, especially a pair of shimmering peach blossom eyes. When she looks at people, she is focused and affectionate, which makes people feel soft in the heart. However, in order to avoid trouble, she has been using eye makeup to suppress this style. In addition, her clothes are rather old-fashioned, which makes her less attractive than Bai Yuyu, who has a plain appearance. However, Sheng Yue in front of him seemed to have been wiped off the dusty gloom. She unconsciously revealed a charming look that made people's mouths dry and their hearts palpitate even though she was wearing a tightly wrapped high-collared long skirt. Qi Xiao clenched his palms suddenly, suppressed his anger and asked, Where have you been these days? Don't you know that we are worried about you? Don't you know where I went? Didn't you leave me alone that day? Sheng Yue smiled, with a mocking look in her eyes. Qi Xiao paused. After a while, he said with a sinister look, You have been with Qin Hui these days? Sheng Yue lowered her eyes, I don't know him well, why am I with him? Qi Xiao breathed a sigh of relief for some reason. Bai Yuyu withdrew his obscure gaze and asked with concern, Where have you been these days, yeah? We couldn't find you anywhere, and your phone didn't work. If I wasn't afraid of affecting you, I would have almost called the police. Sheng Yue looked at Qi Xiao with some complaints, It's Brother Xiao. That day, I was left alone in Chunshangyuan. Soon, Mr. Qin also left for something. I was about to come back, but I met a few rich girls who insisted that I bumped into them and asked me to apologize. Are you okay? Did they do anything to you? Fortunately, they are not very old and their minds are not very vicious. They just let me brush horses for 4 days in the horse farm of Chunshangyuan. It was so stinking. Sheng Yue pretended to vomit twice. Qi Xiao and Bai Yuyu looked at each other obscurely. It's really too much. How can they do this? Bai Yuyu was filled with righteous indignation and was about to take Sheng Yue's hand. Sheng Yue didn't want to get in touch with her, and hurriedly avoided her. Don't let my horsey smell get to you. Bai Yuyu smiled awkwardly, took back her hand, and took a step back almost unnoticeably. Then go take a bath first, I bought some vegetables and you can eat after you take a bath. Yuyu, you're so nice. Sheng Yue was touched. In the bathroom, Sheng Yue slid into the water, and the hot water flowed over her skin, making her grin. Looking down at the various marks on her body, she grinned and then gritted her teeth. That man really wanted to make her die in bed. Pick up the phone next to her and call up the surveillance at home. Without watching the playback of the past few days first, she directly clicked on the real-time surveillance. In the video, as soon as she entered the room, Bai Yuyu and Qi Xiao tacitly entered the kitchen, half-closed the door, stared at the movement outside, and whispered. What happened to Mr. Qin? He didn't contact you after that day? Did the matter come to fruition? Bai Yuyu asked anxiously. She had not been able to contact Qin Hui these days, and she had not received the long-awaited bed photos of Sheng Yue. Qi Xiao frowned, I couldn't contact him, and no one answered the phone. Sheng Yue said that he left after sitting for a while that day. He must have been tripped by something important. I'll contact him later. You leave first after dinner, and I'll test her again. Bai Yoyo's face suddenly showed bitterness, and she bit her lips lightly. Brother Xiao, you promised me not to touch her. Qi Xiao hugged her and laughed softly. When have I not done what I promised you? Bai Yuyu buried her head in his arms, smiled triumphantly, but did not notice Qi Xiao's flashing eyes. Sheng Yue had always insisted on not sleeping in the same room before marriage, and as a normal man, he certainly needed to relieve himself, so when Bai Yuyu seduced him, he cheated on Sheng Yue. In the bathroom, Sheng Yue looked at the two dogs and kissed each other expressionlessly, and her stomach was churning. After turning off her phone, she suppressed her anger again, and finally suppressed it. She couldn't be impatient. What she had now couldn't completely send this pair of dogs to hell. She needed to be patient. However, no matter how much she told herself not to be angry, she still had the urge to rush out and tear their faces apart. As long as she thought about what this pair of dogs and women had done in her house in the past few days, she felt that the whole house was not clean. No, the more she thought about it, the more disgusting it was. She couldn't stay any longer. With a splash, she got up from the bathtub, quickly wiped it clean, put on her clothes, and then packed a few clothes from the closet, and carried her luggage out of the room. Bai Yu, who was setting the plate, saw her about to go out and was stunned. Yeah, you want to go out? Sheng Yue opened her lips. Sister, you took a notice for me before, in H City. I plan to go there to get familiar with it first. Chi Xiao came out with fruit, frowned, and was about to say something, but Sheng Yue said, no more, I'm in a hurry, you guys can have dinner by yourselves. After that, she opened the door and hurried away. Chapter 12. You're just this much. After leaving the apartment building and smelling the fresh air outside, the nausea in her heart suddenly subsided a lot. She should be considered the most useless wife in history. She was disgusted by the scumbag and the mistress and didn't even want her own home. She laughed at herself, and tears were streaming down her face. Holding her face, she sobbed almost inaudibly, Chi Xiao, you bastard, how could you do this to me? How could you? You're just this much. A cold voice came from above. Sheng Yue raised her head with tears in her eyes, and suddenly saw Qin Yanji looking at her with deep eyes. Why are you here? She sniffed in surprise and stood up, but her feet were numb and she stumbled forward. Before she could scream, a pair of steady and strong hands caught her firmly. The familiar and refreshing breath penetrated into her nose, and Sheng Yu's eyes suddenly flashed a few fragments. Her cheeks were hot and she quickly got up from his arms. Why are you here? She suppressed her embarrassment and asked. I don't know what she thought of. She pressed her chest with some vigilance. The doctor said I need to rest well. Qin Yanji smiled. Don't worry, I won't move you. Go with me to a place. Originally, he planned to send a driver to pick her up, but he came in person. Is it appropriate for me to go? Sheng Yue hesitated. It's hard to say or hear about their relationship. No problem. After hearing what he said, Sheng Yue stopped being pretentious and got in the car directly. On the way, Qin Yanji asked, why did you cry just now? Sheng Yue lowered her eyes. Chi Xiao was making out with Bai Yu right under my nose. Qin Yanji turned the Buddhist beads on his wrist to suppress the inexplicable irritation in his heart. Do you care about him so much? Sheng Yue shook her head. I have paid too much for him, I am not willing to be played by them like this. She carefully hooked his palm. Can you help me? How to help? Qin Yanji glared at her. Sheng Yue gritted her teeth and smiled. I also want to taste the taste of having an affair under the nose of my fiancé. She wanted to let Chi Xiao try it. He knew that she was cheating, but he dared not say anything, so he could only swallow his anger. You don't want to take any loss. From childhood to adulthood, I have taken everything, but I don't like to take any loss. Qin Yanji chuckled. There is a family dinner at the Qin family next week. Do you dare to go? Sheng Yue asked tentatively with her fingertips. How many people will attend the family dinner? It's just a small dinner, no more than 100 people. Sheng Yue retreated and laughed dryly. Then let's find another time. Besides, in order to retaliate against Chi Xiao, letting him attend the Qin family dinner would be too much of a compliment to him. Qin Yanji refused to let her go and ordered the assistant in the front seat. Arrange someone to inform Chi Xiao to return to the old house to attend the family dinner next week. He is allowed to bring a female companion. Yes, second master. Turning around, the assistant made a call. Sheng Yue was stunned. Should this person act so quickly? What? Invite me to the family dinner next week. Chi Xiao stood up suddenly, his face full of shock and ecstasy. Okay, I'll be there on time. Thank you for notifying me. After hanging up the phone, Chi Xiao walked back and forth excitedly. Chi Yunmai, who had just arrived, listened with her ears perked up and asked hurriedly, Son, did the Qin family ask you to go back to attend the family dinner? Chi Xiao nodded with a smile on his face. Yes, I am allowed to bring a female companion. Bai Yoyo's eyes lit up next to him. Chi Yun's eyebrows showed expectation. Son, I haven't been back to the Qin family for more than 20 years. Chi Xiao looked embarrassed. Mom, I'm afraid they won't agree. The mistress of the Qin family is still there. If he sees his mother, it may implicate him. Chi Yunmai closed her mouth in disappointment. Brother Xiao, are you planning to take Sheng Yue with you? What about me? Bai Yu lowered his eyes. Chi Xiao paused, and hugged her with some guilt. Yu, the Qin family has a very strict family tradition. If they knew about you and me, I'm afraid they would have a worse impression of me. After all, when I went back to the Qin family before, they already knew that Sheng Yue and I were engaged. So, Sheng Yue was the first wife who had passed the open way, and she was just a mistress who was not allowed to see the light of day. Bai Yu felt a sharp pain in her heart. She pinched her palm, raised her head and smiled softly. I know, Brother Xiao, I won't cause you any trouble. Chi Xiao felt a little distressed. You like the jewelry set from KE, I'll have someone send it to you later. After she left, Chi Yunmai pulled Chi Xiao and said, Son, Sheng Yue is no longer useful to you, why keep her to occupy a position? Let's not talk about your identity as the young master of the Qin family. Even if you are now a first-line actor, she is still struggling in the 5th or 6th line. She is not worthy of you at all. Chi Xiao pressed his forehead and was a little irritated. Mom, I know what to do. Sheng Yue is still useful to me now. Chi Yunmai's voice rose several degrees, quite sharp. She is an orphan without a father or mother, powerless and unable to help you. What use is she? Son, Mom is doing this for your own good. If you don't get rid of her as soon as possible, how can you marry the daughter of that aristocratic family when you return to the Qin family? I tell you, whether it's Sheng Yue or Bai Yu, I won't agree to you marrying them. In the corner, Bai Yu, holding a fruit plate in her hand, pinched her fingers little by little. Don't agree to marry her? Oh, she is not that stupid, Sheng Yue. She has paid so much for Chi Xiao. Whether it is the position of Mrs. Qi, it can only be hers. Chapter 13 Luxury Cruise. Sheng Yue held down her hair that was blown by the sea breeze, and looked at the luxury cruise ship with bright lights on the sea, with her mouth twitching. She never expected that the place Qin Yanji asked her to accompany would be a luxury cruise ship. Do you think it's appropriate for me to wear this? When she came out of the house, she wore a sweater and jeans, and a pair of canvas shoes. The total cost of her clothes was less than 200 yuan, just like a little girl from a poor slum. Qin Yanji looked at her and suddenly took her hand. Before Sheng Yue could react, her wrist sank. Looking down, she saw that the Buddhist beads he always carried with him were hanging loosely on her wrist. Sheng Yu's heart trembled. Let's go. Qin Yanji let go of her hand and walked up the gangway. Sheng Yue grabbed the Buddhist beads and followed him with mixed feelings. As soon as they went up, a group of people came to greet them. The middle-aged man in the lead was full of smiles. Mr. Qin can take the time to come, it's really an honor for our humble home. Qin Yanji smiled faintly. I have been looking forward to the auction hosted by President Xiao for a long time, and I will not miss it. Xiao Churong smiled even more. Knowing that you are coming, the people from the Shi family also came, but I specially saved the piece you like for you. Qin Yanji raised his hand, and the assistant behind him immediately brought forward an extremely exquisite wooden box. This thing is used as the finale, I think it can make up for your loss. Xiao Churong did not say anything polite, took it and opened it. His pupils shrank suddenly, and then quickly covered his eyes, and the smile at the corners of his mouth was so excited that it almost reached his ears. You are so polite. The thing originally came from your family. I should return it intact. Sheng Yue saw that he was so happy that he almost danced with joy. She couldn't help but be curious about the things in the wooden box. Qin Yanji glanced at her. Like it? Sheng Yue was speechless. She didn't even know what was in the wooden box. What did she like? Qin Yanji touched her hair that was blown by the wind. I'll give you one later. Xiao Churong, who was standing next to her, was envious and jealous when he heard this. Only the prince of the Qin family would be so generous that he could give away a national treasure. No, I'm afraid of losing it. Just based on the middle-aged man's ecstatic reaction just now, she knew that what Qin Yanji gave was not an ordinary thing. She didn't want to get into trouble if she took it. Xiao Churong looked at her obscurely. He didn't take it seriously when he saw her shabby before. Now he saw Qin Yanji's attitude towards her and was a little unsure. Could she be the daughter of a family that lived a simple and hard life? Just as he was about to greet her, he caught a glimpse of the Buddhist beads on her wrist, and his heart was shocked. When he looked at Sheng Yue again, he was slightly more respectful. He was tactful and did not ask about Sheng Yue's identity. He accompanied Qin Yanji and the others to the auction hall. Even though Sheng Yue had been in the entertainment industry for many years and could be said to be knowledgeable, she was shocked by the luxurious decorations on the cruise ship. She followed Qin Yanji and tried not to show her greedy expression, but her slightly rapid breathing still caught Qin Yanji's attention. He glanced at Sheng Yue, who looked like she was obsessed with money, and curled his lips. The auction had not officially started yet, but the hall was already full of people. Xiao Churong invited Qin Yanji and the others to the upstairs box, and only left after confirming that there was no mistake. As soon as he left, a young man with an exceptionally outstanding appearance and imposing aura walked in with a sexy beauty in his arms. Xiao Churong said you would come, and I thought he was raising his status, but I didn't expect you to really come. The young man sat down opposite Qin Yanji and pushed the beauty in his arms. Go, sit next to Qin Eri, serve well, and this young master will reward you. The beauty glanced at him coquettishly. You are so mean. Just as she was about to turn around and sit next to Qin Yanji, a hand suddenly stretched out from the side to stop her. Sorry, this one has a boyfriend. Sheng Yue smiled and blocked Qin Yanji. Shi Yang narrowed his eyes, looked her up and down critically, turned to Qin Yanji, and raised his lips. If Master Qin is short of money, I can lend you some money without interest because we have known each other for many years. In case you don't have money to buy clothes for your female companion, and you dress too shabby, it will be embarrassing, right? Sheng Yue smiled. You need a female companion to add luster to your appearance, but our master is different. No matter who stands next to him, he can be plated with pure gold and his status will be doubled. Qin Yanji took a sip of tea and raised his lips. Shi Yang stared at her with a fake smile. You are really sharp-tongued. Sheng Yue faked a smile. I am used to hearing people praise me for my sharp tongue. If you are poor in language, forget it. Shi Yang laughed angrily and nodded at her. Qin Yanji, did you find this girl from under the overpass? Qin Yanji patted Sheng Yue. Go and play by yourself. Oh. Sheng Yue obediently stepped back, but did not forget to drag away the female companion brought by Shi Yang before leaving. After the two left, Ming Yang said unhappily, I came here to give you a tip-off, but you let your people bully me. Qin Yanji pushed a cup of tea in front of him. You are young, so you made some mistakes. You should bear the consequences. Ming Yang said sarcastically, how can I not bear the consequences? You gave the precious Buddhist beads to someone else. How dare I touch her? Qin Yanji did not comment. What news? Someone in your family wants to take over the business in the south. I can stop them once or twice, but I can't stop them 3 or 4 times. Ming Yang said lazily. Qin Yanji narrowed his eyes. I understand. I will give you half of the vote next month. Ming Yang raised his lips. Then I won't be polite. Chapter 14 Blocking Bad Peach Blossoms. On the other side, Sheng Yue looked at the balance on her phone happily. She really didn't expect that Qin Yanji brought her here to block bad peach blossoms for him. And blocking one peach blossom is 1 million. If there are dozens or hundreds of peach blossoms, she can become rich overnight. When she thought of this, she immediately felt itchy and encouraged her angry female companion. Do you know anyone? Call them over to play together. My boss likes beautiful women the most. The female companion glared at her with disdain. Do you have any professional ethics? How can you share your sponsor with others? She glanced at her up and down, with a look of disdain on her face. Yes, you can't attract sponsors with your appearance, so you can only take crooked ways. After saying that, she walked away gracefully with an expression of shame to be associated with you. Sheng Yue was stunned. Half an hour later, the auction finally started. Shi Yang did not return to his own box, but occupied the entire sofa, enjoying the feeding service of his female companion comfortably, while taking pictures of things he was interested in. Sheng Yue had also participated in several auctions, but the collections auctioned were at most tens of millions, but this time, the cheapest auction was sold at a sky-high price of hundreds of millions. The only time Qin Yanji made a move was when he spent 1 billion yuan to buy an 83-carat blue diamond necklace. Is it for Shenlan? Shi Yang asked casually. Qin Yanji nodded. She plans to return to China. Shi Yang raised his eyebrows. Doesn't that mean I want to congratulate you on your upcoming wedding? Sheng Yue's pupils shrank, and she looked at Qin Yanji in surprise. Qin Yanji's face showed a rare hint of doting. It depends on what she means. Sheng Yue's heart stabbed and she closed her eyes. It turned out that he already had a lover who was talking about marriage. Then what is she? A mistress? No, she is not that important. At most, they are fuck buddies who have slept with each other a few times. However, whether it is a mistress or a fuck buddy, it is immoral behavior. What is the difference between them and Chi Xiao and Bai Yu? Looking up at Qin Yanji again, that bright and beautiful face actually looked a little hateful at this time. After the auction, Sheng Yue handed the Buddhist beads to Qin Yanji with a faint smile. This thing is too valuable, I'd better return it to you. If it is damaged, I can't afford to pay for it. Qin Yanji keenly noticed the change in her attitude, pinched her chin, and forced her to look directly at him. Are you angry? Sheng Yue faked a smile. How could it be? Not only did you teach me a lesson, but you also gave me such a large sum of money. I am still happy. Qin Yanji stared at her for a moment and took back the Buddhist beads. The cruise ship will dock tomorrow morning. If you are tired, go back to your room and rest. Okay. Sheng Yue responded obediently. Sheng Yue really didn't feel like pretending anymore. She asked the waiter to get the room card and left the box without looking back. TSK, where did you find this girl? She has a bad temper. Ming Yang walked over with a gloating look. Qin Yanji fiddled with the Buddhist beads without saying a word. The female companion glanced at him and said cautiously, although I have only known Miss Xing for a short time, I can sense that she has a strong sense of morality. Qin Yanji looked at her. What do you mean? I think Miss Xing heard that you are getting married. She should not like to meet a man who is already taken. Qin Yanji frowned slightly. Ming Yang laughed so hard that he fell backwards. That girl wouldn't think you are going to marry Xinlan, right? The female companion looked back and forth at them in confusion. Isn't it? Ming Yang hugged her in his arms and kissed her on the face. The law does not allow siblings to get married. Is that so? The female companion looked embarrassed, but she was complaining in her heart. Who told you not to speak clearly? Anyone who heard it would misunderstand. Qin Yanji rubbed his eyebrows, stood up and walked out. Ming Yang shouted with a smile behind him, women must not be spoiled, otherwise they will only get more and more. Sheng Yue walked towards the room with a gloomy face, no longer in the mood to appreciate the surrounding scenery. Just as she turned around the corridor, a door next to her suddenly opened, and a hand stretched out and pulled her in. Chapter 15 Falling into the water. The incident happened too suddenly. Sheng Yue never thought that someone would attack her here. After all, she came here with Qin Yanji. Who are you? Sheng Yue asked patiently, and then said, I am the man of Qin Eri. But the other party sneered, shut up, are you worthy? The woman next to the second master can only be me. You said that if you die, will Qin Eri notice me? Sheng Yue. Has she met another bad peach blossom of Qin Yanji? I don't know where Qin Yanji is now. He may be happily choosing gifts for his fiancée, and he doesn't care about himself. They just slept together a few times. When she was absent-minded, the woman behind her had dragged her into the elevator and came to the second floor below the ship. At this time, the cold wind blew on Sheng Yu's face. She only looked into the distance. The bottomless Black Sea made people feel dull and suffocated. The people above were enjoying the night view, not knowing that a life-and-death scene was taking place below. Sheng Yue was shocked. No way. Is this crazy woman really here to play? Although she can swim, her skills are not good, and this is an endless sea. If she is really pushed down, she will definitely die. Miss, we have something to discuss. I am just an unknown little star. The second master just happens to be interested in me. Maybe he will kick me out in a few days. There is no need for us to make a fuss like this, right? Sheng Yue held the railing behind her tightly with both hands, her lips trembling slightly to keep herself calm, and looked around vigilantly, hoping that someone would find them in time. Pray that Qin Yanji can find his conscience sooner. If it weren't for him, how could she have provoked such a disaster? She didn't want to die yet. She didn't want to die like this before she beat up the scumbag and the bitch. But the woman only sneered, and her hands did not slow down at all, pulling Sheng Yue to a lower place. For so many years, I have never seen a woman around the second master. You are the first one. So you must die today. Don't look around. No one will find us. The woman's hand was very strong and full of hatred. Sheng Yue couldn't break free at all. If she had known this, she would have taken more martial arts dramas to exercise her physical fitness. Could it be that Sheng Yu's fame would really be ruined in this bottomless sea? Qin Yanji returned to the room and found no trace of Sheng Yue. He immediately ordered someone to look for her, with a trace of anxiety on his face. There were all kinds of people on the boat. She didn't know anyone here. Where else could she go except back to the room? Ming Yang learned the news and contacted the organizer to retrieve the surveillance. Seeing the place where Sheng Yue disappeared last, he quickly sent it to Qin Yanji. Qin Yanji looked gloomy, quickly locked the room number, kicked open the door, and it was empty. Where are the people? At this time, Qin Yanji's face was as dark as coal. President Xiao was the first to come after hearing the news. He was the supervisor of the design of this luxury cruise ship, so he naturally knew where this room led to. Second Master Qin, follow me. President Xiao led the way in front and wiped the cold sweat. Take this elevator down and you will go directly to the second floor below ground, which is also the place closest to the sea surface. Sheng Yue has disappeared for a while. It is hard to say what the situation is now, because no one thought that someone would attack Qin Eri's people. Soon, a group of people rushed to the second floor below ground, and the scene they saw was a beautiful woman pushing Sheng Yue down. Sheng Yue. A trace of panic quickly appeared in his indifferent eyes, and his lips trembled unconsciously a few times, unable to hide his inner panic. Save her. President Xiao was so angry that he summoned people to go down for rescue. If Sheng Yue really drowned at the bottom of the sea, everyone on the cruise ship would have a hard time, not to mention him as the organizer. The woman who had just pushed Sheng Yue into the sea also saw the man behind her, and looked at him with a pair of infatuated eyes. Second Master. Now, no one can compete with her for the Second Master. She will definitely rise to prominence and marry into the Qin family in the future. Qin Yanji pushed the woman away and looked at the sea, only to see waves of ripples. Damn it! Qin Yanji made a gesture to Ming Yang, and then, before everyone could react, he jumped down in front of everyone. He actually jumped into the sea to save the woman himself. He is Qin Yanji. A man who can cover the sky with one hand. He actually saved people personally regardless of the risk of his life. The professional lifeguards arranged by President Xiao also began to jump into the sea one by one and began to search. Ming Yang understood what Qin Yanji meant, ordered the culprit to be arrested, and looked at her with a pair of eyes that looked at her dead. Why did you have to mess with Qin Yanji's woman when you could mess with anyone else? The woman didn't expect that the 18th line celebrity was so important to Qin Eri. She just didn't want to see another woman beside Qin Eri besides her. President Xiao also recognized the person in front of him and said in horror, Xiao Yu, how could it be you? Godfather, save me. The woman also realized that something was wrong, and cried and crawled to President Xiao and grabbed his trouser legs. President Xiao looked at the goddaughter in front of him, who he was proud of and spent a lot of money to cultivate. She caused such a big disaster before she was put to use. Naturally, he was unhappy. How could you do such a stupid thing? Even the King of Heaven can't save you, a fool. You'd better pray that Miss Sheng is okay, otherwise the whole Xiao family will be implicated by you. Don't call me Godfather, from now on you are not surnamed Xiao. President Xiao's face was extremely ugly, and he kicked the woman away. He still knew what was important. The woman was ashamed, knowing that she had made a big mistake, and allowed Ming Yang's people to take her away, and then disappeared. President Xiao watched the people below rescue in fear, and kept an eye on Qin Yanji's situation above. Quick! All those who are familiar with water, go down and find someone. If something happens to Mr. Qin and Miss Sheng, all of you will have to live. President Xiao gritted his teeth when he said this. He was not exaggerating. Qin Yanji, the head of the Qin family, was a mountain weighing on everyone's heart. If he died, all the rich and noble people on the cruise ship would be buried with him. The pinnacle of the aristocratic family is no joke. Sheng Yue struggled in the turbulent water. Her desire to survive continued to increase, but no matter how hard she tried, her body was still falling rapidly. Is she really going to die? Just when she was desperate, she suddenly felt a pair of strong arms holding her tightly. Sheng Yue, don't be afraid. A warm and familiar voice appeared in her ears. Sheng Yue's consciousness was already scattered, and she could no longer tell whether it was real or her fantasy before death. However, she didn't expect that before she died, the person she thought of was Qin Yanji, not Qi Xiao. Sheng Yue gradually relaxed her struggle and fainted. Chapter 16. Qin Yanji saved her. Fortunately, Qin Yanji was familiar with water and jumped in at the best time. He quickly held Sheng Yue in his arms and floated to the surface. The rescue boat saw the two and quickly pulled them onto the lifeboat. Qin Yanji looked at the pale woman in front of him and said in a deep voice, Sheng Yue, wake up. Sheng Yue did not react at all. Qin Yanji's eyes darkened and he began to give Sheng Yue artificial respiration. With Qin Yanji's efforts, Sheng Yue coughed up a mouthful of sea water. Although she was not awake yet, her life was saved. The rescue boat approached the cruise ship. President Xiao had already asked the medical team to stand by on the ship. Sheng Yue was sent to the operating room on the cruise ship as soon as possible. Qin Yanji was soaked all over. He always paid attention to his image and did not change his clothes immediately. He waited in front of the operating room door for the situation. Ming Yang sighed on the side, Qin Yanji, you are screwed. Even he did not expect Qin Yanji to react like this. If this is not screwed, what is it? When he thought that the arrogant Qin Yanji also had someone he cared about, he felt magical. There would be a day when the flower of Galing would be pulled down. Have you dealt with the person? Qin Yanji asked Ming Yang for a cigarette, lowered his head to light it, his eyes were red, and he took a few puffs of it, sparks flickering. Of course, but this matter is still your fault. If you had explained the relationship between you and Shenlan to that girl, she would not have left in anger. Something happened as soon as she left. Fortunately, she was found in time. If she was a step later, there would be only a cold corpse left. Qin Yanji lowered his eyes and his face sank a little. I know. Let's go. There are few flies at home that need to be dealt with. Ming Yang patted Qin Yanji's shoulder, waiting for your good news. Qin Yanji nodded and continued to look at the door of the operating room. After the operation, Sheng Yue was out of danger because of water in the lungs and needed to be hospitalized for care. Because of this, President Xiao docked the cruise ship in advance, took the initiative to bear all the expenses of Sheng Yue's hospitalization, and sent a nurse to take care of her carefully, and arranged her in the SVIP ward. Fearing that he was not thorough enough, Qin Yanji attacked the Xiao family. Ahem. When Sheng Yue woke up, she saw white everywhere. Could this be heaven? Miss Sheng, you are awake. The nurse handed Sheng Yue a glass of water in time and rang the bell to call the doctor. Who are you? Sheng Yue was still a little confused. Wasn't she in the sea? I am Gigi, the nurse invited by President Xiao. Miss Sheng, you fell into the sea because of water in your lungs. You went to the hospital and I am responsible for taking care of you. Sheng Yue finally understood what was going on. It turned out that she was not dead. After drinking a sip of water, her throat felt much better. She vaguely remembered that she heard Qin Yanji's voice. Just when she was about to ask who saved her, the attending doctor came in and began to examine Sheng Yue. The level of detail amazed Sheng Yue. And she found that the ward here was very spacious, with complete equipment, and there were special gold medal doctors for one-on-one treatment. Could this be the legendary SVIP ward, where staying in for a day costs hundreds of thousands of dollars? No way. She has no money. Gigi, can I change the ward? Sheng Yue said cautiously. She was just an 18th-tier celebrity. If she stayed in for 10 days or half a month, she would have lost her annual salary. She couldn't afford it. Gigi quickly understood Sheng Yue's concerns and said with a smile, Miss Sheng, you can stay here with peace of mind. Someone has already paid for you until you recover. Sheng Yue exclaimed, so generous? Then she has no psychological burden. This can be regarded as a blessing in disguise, which she has exchanged for her life. After more than 10 items were checked, Sheng Yue was so tired that she couldn't speak. She even had to check such a small problem as oral cavity. Sure enough, this is the power of money. The nurse notified Qin Yanji as soon as possible. When Qin Yanji arrived, Sheng Yue was eating a nutritious meal happily. Second master, you are here. Gigi said respectfully towards the door, reminding Sheng Yue. Sheng Yue looked up and saw Qin Yanji curled his lips. Why did this big Buddha come? Why, are you not happy to see me? Qin Yanji looked up and saw that Sheng Yue was already able to eat voraciously, thinking that she should be fine. Happy? Do I have to beat gongs and drums to thank you because I almost lost my life because of you? I can be happy when someone pushes me into the sea. Sheng Yue got angry when she talked about this matter. I don't know where this crazy woman came from. She bites people when she sees them. She was unprovoked and unlucky. Qin Yanji frowned and pursed his lips very straight. I'm sorry. Sheng Yue. The sun came out from the west, and Qin Yanji actually apologized to her? It wasn't Qin Yanji's fault. She was too concerned about the sponsor, which was her fault. As a lover, she has her own consciousness, not to mention that she was allowed to stay in such a good ward. It's okay, I forgive you. Anyway, she didn't lose a piece of meat, and she could rest for a while, so why not? After that, she asked Gigi to pour her a glass of water. She had just woken up and was thirsty for water. Qin Yanji sat on the accompanying stool and looked at Sheng Yue and said word by word, Xinlan is my biological sister who has been found. She has not returned to China yet. I took a picture of the necklace as a gift for her to return to China. Puff. The water that Sheng Yue had not had time to swallow was sprayed out directly because of excessive excitement. She looked at Qin Yanji with an unbelievable face. Is this explaining to her? What's wrong? Qin Yanji looked at her seriously. Sheng Yue shook her head, with an indescribable feeling in her heart, happy, sweet, worried, and more uneasy. Actually, you don't have to explain to me. After all, the two of them are not even a legitimate relationship. Have a good rest. I will find time to see you. Facing Sheng Yu's eyes, Qin Yanji didn't say much and got up to leave. After everyone left, Gigi said excitedly, the second master actually explained it to you. Miss Sheng, you don't know, when you fell into the water, the second master jumped in without saying a word to save you. This matter has spread everywhere. Sheng Yue was stunned. It was really Qin Yanji who saved her. She thought it was an illusion before the emergency. Sheng Yue didn't know what to say. At this moment, the phone rang, and the note showed that it was by Yu. Yeah, I heard that you accidentally fell into the sea and were hospitalized. Are you okay? Brother Xiao and I are very worried about you. As soon as the phone was connected, Bai Yoyo's anxious and worried tone came from the other side. If you didn't know, you would think that the two of them were sisters with a good relationship. Sheng Yue calmed down and said, I'm fine. Sorry to have worried you. That's good. Yeah, where are you? I want to come and take care of you. I don't trust others to take care of you. Bai Yoyo took the opportunity to ask. Sheng Yue turned her head and raised the corner of her lips. Okay, thank you for your help. I'll send you the address later. Chapter 17 Trial in 3 Courts. Miss Sheng, the second master asked me to take care of you. Gigi spoke in a low voice. Outsiders are definitely not as meticulous as she is. If Sheng Yue has any problems, she will be blamed. It is not easy to explain to the second master and President Xiao. Sheng Yue put down her phone and raised her lips. Gigi, I understand your concerns. Don't worry, you will take care of me. Otherwise, if I eat the food sent by others, I am afraid that my life that I have finally saved will be ruined again. Gigi quickly understood the implication of Sheng Yue's words. The person who came was not a good friend of Miss Sheng, and she understood it a little. Bai Yoyo acted quickly and arrived at the hospital shortly after Sheng Yue sent the address. When she saw the SVIP sign on the doorplate, jealousy arose in her heart. Why should she, a third-rate actor, live in such a good ward? Sheng Yue, I want to see how you explain to Brother Xiao this time. When Bai Yoyo opened the door and went in, she put on another harmless look and placed the chicken soup she had bought in advance at the restaurant on the bedside of Sheng Yue. Yeah, I made chicken soup as soon as I knew you were in trouble. Drink it while it's hot to replenish your body. Sheng Yue took a look at the chicken soup and said lightly, I'm not hungry yet, thank you, Yu. The color of this soup is obviously not something Bai Yoyo can make. How could Bai Yoyo spend several hours preparing chicken soup from the time of the accident to now? The label on the chicken soup box was not torn off, and she couldn't do a full set of acting. Miss Sheng has water in her lungs and can't drink 2 greasy things. The chicken soup cooked in your restaurant is not food safe. Gigi reminded her from the side, and couldn't help curling her lips. She doesn't even have this common sense, and she's still offering flowers to Buddha. No wonder Miss Sheng is wary of her. If she really cares, she can just check it online. Bai Yoyo was a little embarrassed. She just wanted to go through the motions, but she didn't expect to be humiliated by a little nurse and feel embarrassed. I wanted to lose my temper on the spot, but because Sheng Yue was there, I could only swallow my hatred and said tactfully, I'm sorry, yeah, it's my fault for being too careless. It's always you and Brother Xiao who have taken care of me, so. Yeah, you won't blame me, right? Sheng Yue tutted impatiently. She didn't want to listen to Bai Yoyo's gossip here. Yu, Gigi is here. If you don't have anything to do, go back first. Yeah, are you going to chase me away? Bai Yoyo's eyes were filled with tears, and she felt extremely wronged. I'm sorry, I didn't know you couldn't drink chicken soup. Just at this time, Chi Xiao came to visit Sheng Yue with a fruit basket. He knew that the address was sent to him by Bai Yoyo. I was originally angry because Sheng Yue didn't tell him about such a big thing. When I entered the door, I saw this scene and frowned slightly. What's wrong? Yu, why are you crying for no reason? Then he saw Sheng Yu's pale face stained with a touch of heartache, and said angrily, Yeah, you didn't tell me that such a big thing happened. Do you still regard me as your boyfriend? After a round of accusations, Gigi couldn't stand it anymore. Is this Miss Shen's boyfriend? Before Sheng Yue spoke, Bai Yoyo began to cry. Brother Xiao, I sent chicken soup when I learned that Yaya was in trouble. I found out that Yaya couldn't drink it after sending it. It was not intentional. You want to drive Yu away just because of this? Chi Xiao naturally heard what Bai Yoyo said and began to question Sheng Yue. Sheng Yue slowly raised her eyelids and glanced at him coldly. She didn't say a word, and Chi Xiao came up and asked 2 questions. As expected of an underground lover, now they show their affection in front of him without any concealment. They set up a stage in their ward, which was annoying to watch. Since they hadn't fallen out yet, Sheng Yue pursed her lips and closed her eyes. Gigi, I want to sleep. Mr. and Miss Sheng is going to rest. Please leave first. Gigi immediately understood what Sheng Yue meant and made a gesture of invitation to Chi Xiao and Bai Yoyo. The order to leave was to ask Chi Xiao and Bai Yoyo to get out. Out of sight, out of mind. Sheng Yue, who had just woken up, didn't have much energy and was too lazy to argue with them. Chi Xiao naturally didn't want to leave. As a boyfriend, he said confidently, Gigi, right. From now on, you are fired. Gigi sneered, as if she had heard a big joke. She was the gold medal nurse hired by President Xiao. Except for Mr. Qin and Miss Sheng, no one could fire her. Bai Yoyo immediately put on a proud attitude. That's right, don't you look at who you are, and dare to order us. Chi Xiao, have you had enough? Sheng Yue opened her eyes, showing her fatigue. I just came back from the gates of hell. Not only did you not care about me, but you came up to blame me and even fired my caregiver. Are you kidding? Me? You really think that a tiger doesn't show its power, and she is a sick cat? Chi Xiao's face turned cold. I don't trust the caregivers hired by others. Yeah, I'm doing this for your own good. That's right, yeah, Brother Xiao is thinking about you. I'm your best friend, and Brother Xiao is your fiancé. How could he harm you? Yeah, how did you fall into the sea, and who arranged this high-end ward for you? Bai Yoyo asked this question with a different light in his eyes, which was also the answer Chi Xiao wanted to know. During this period of time, Sheng Yu's whereabouts were no longer under his control, which made him feel very insecure. Have you said enough? I don't think I need to answer your question. Yu, do you really care about me? Sheng Yue looked straight at Bai Yoyo, her eyes flashing with coldness, making Bai Yoyo feel a little flustered. I'm just worried that you've been deceived, and I'm afraid you'll go astray for a while. Bai Yoyo even hid behind Chi Xiao, implying that if it wasn't for some rich man on the list, how could he live in such a good ward and hire such a professional nurse? This sentence also woke up Chi Xiao, and he looked at Sheng Yue with a scrutinizing look. Yeah, who have you been in contact with these days? Sheng Yue. It's really Wu Yu's mother who opened the door for Wu Yu. Bai Yoyo turned her ward into a 3-court trial in just a few words. Sure enough, in Chi Xiao's eyes, her safety is not important. What's important is whether she still has any value. If Chi Xiao knew that she had slept with Qin Yanji, what kind of scene would it be? She is really looking forward to it. Sheng Yue snorted coldly, suppressing the anger in her heart. Chi Xiao, are you qualified to control me? Chi Xiao had a tense face. Sheng Yue had been obedient to him for the past 5 years and never dared to disobey him. Now, she dared to challenge him. Could it be that Qin Hua's affair was exposed last time? At the moment when the two were deadlocked, Xiao Chirong rushed to the ward with a bunch of gifts, directly passing by Yu and Chi Xiao. Chapter 18. Help her out and keep watch for her. Miss Sheng, you finally woke up. Thank you, Miss Sheng, for your help, which prevented a disaster from happening. As the organizer, I sincerely thank Miss Sheng. I will bear all the expenses of your hospitalization. Their words of gratitude came from their heart, and President Xiao wanted to worship Sheng Yue. It was Sheng Yue who saved the lives of all the people on their boat. After receiving Qin Yanji's instructions, he came to the hospital with gifts without saying a word to drive away flies for Sheng Yue. Oh! Sheng Yue blinked. When did she become a hero? Bai Yuyu and Qi Xiao looked at each other and both breathed a sigh of relief. Bai Yuyu was afraid that Sheng Yue would suppress her again. Qi Xiao didn't want Sheng Yue to be touched by anyone other than himself. In other words, according to Sheng Yue's noble character, she would not do such a thing. They were worrying too much. President Xiao, what happened to my girlfriend last night? I'm very worried. Qi Xiao asked with a boyfriend's attitude. Actor Qi, you don't know this. Last night I invited Miss Sheng to participate in the auction I held on the cruise ship. Everything was fine. Who knew that a child from a rich family fell into the water while playing, and it was Sheng Xiao who rescued the child regardless of the danger, which prevented a tragedy from happening. President Xiao told a lie vividly, without mentioning Qin Yanji at all, and lied without blushing or breathing, which made Sheng Yue stunned. She actually became a hero? With her swimming ability, it's almost okay for someone else to save her. When he thought that this was Qin Yanji's arrangement, he understood it in his heart and agreed, that's how it is. Do you have any questions? Qi Xiao, I'm really tired. Can we talk about it after I'm discharged from the hospital? Qi Xiao pursed his lips, knowing that his mood was a little wrong just now, and also noticed that Sheng Yue was deliberately alienating and avoiding him, and sighed. He didn't want to push Sheng Yue too hard, she still had value to him. You have a good rest, Yu and I will come to see you tomorrow. After that, the two left the ward. Bai Yu was still a little unwilling, and there was a different light in her eyes. After asking her that she would come tomorrow, Sheng Yue just hummed and said nothing. President Xiao completed his task and said a few polite words and left. The ward finally became quiet, and Sheng Yue fell asleep again with a drowsy head. In the dead of night, Sheng Yue woke up slowly, not knowing how long she had slept. There was a weak desk lamp in the ward, so it wasn't too dark. She was awakened by thirst, her lips were so dry, Sheng Yue reached out to get the water next to her but couldn't reach it. Be careful. Qin Yanji suddenly appeared and handed the cup to Sheng Yue steadily. Second master, why are you here? Sheng Yue was surprised to find that Qin Yanji came from the accompanying sofa. Because the light was too dim, she didn't notice it when she woke up. You fell into the water because of me, so I can't be here. Qin Yanji raised his eyebrows, the nurse also needs to rest, you can't leave someone at night. Sheng Yue said, oh, the second master Qin actually kept watch for her, it would be a lie to say that she was not moved. Since Qin Yanji took the initiative to explain his relationship with others to her during the day, Sheng Yue had an indescribable feeling in her heart. Compared to Qi Xiao's questioning today, Qin Yanji was too good to her. So good that she didn't know how to thank him. Qin Yanji, thank you. President Xiao will come to help me out, right? Except Qin Yanji, she really can't think of another person who has this right. Well, I know you don't want them to know. Qin Yanji admitted generously, and said, so when will you break up with Qi Xiao? Sheng Yue. If I remember correctly, this is the second time Qin Yanji asked this question. Sheng Yue held the water cup, a little nervous, and her voice was as small as a mosquito. Second master, have you really never had other women? Although it was rumored that Qin Yanji was not close to women, and there was no trace of women around him for many years, Qi Xiao acted loyal in front of her, but he still cheated on her in the end. Besides, Qin Yanji said that she was his sister, so was she his sister? What if she was a lover's sister? So at this point, she didn't dare to trust others easily. Qin Yanji didn't expect Sheng Yue to ask this, so he took the cup from Sheng Yue's hand and put it aside, supporting himself on a hospital bed with both hands. Slowly approaching Sheng Yue, the distance between them was shortened in an instant, the familiar breath of the man pressed down, and his eyebrows were close. She felt that his gaze seemed to have taken shape, and she felt a little hot when being stared at by Qin Yanji. She wanted to step back, but he fixed her and she couldn't move. Sheng Yue, in what capacity are you asking me now? Qin Yanji's fingers suddenly covered up, and his fingertips rested behind Sheng Yue's ears. Her ears were too hot, and his cold fingertips played a role in regulating the temperature. Sheng Yue blushed all of a sudden, a little at a loss, lowered her head and dared not look at Qin Yanji. He gently lifted her chin, rubbed her lips with his thumb, and his eyes were full of the flame of desire. His lips and tongue opened slightly, licking his lips with interest, endless temptation, and his voice was hoarse. Look up and look at me. Sheng Yue was a little angry for a while. This was in the hospital. What did Qin Yanji think of her? A tool for sexual venting that he could take whenever he wanted. Angry, she pushed Qin Yanji away. Second master, please respect yourself. Sheng Yue felt a little wronged for no reason. Qin Yanji did all this just to sleep with her, and turned his head away from him. Qin Yanji was a little surprised. He didn't expect Sheng Yue to suddenly push him away. This was the first time. TSK. Qin Yanji rubbed his eyebrows. The little wildcat also had a temper. If Sheng Yue didn't want to, he wouldn't force it. As long as he got close to Sheng Yue, he couldn't control himself, as if Sheng Yue was a beautiful poppy. However, he had the patience to keep Sheng Yue by his side and make her his exclusive property. You have a good rest. I have arranged the family dinner next week. You can do whatever you want. After saying that, Qin Yanji returned to their accompanying sofa and began to close his eyes to rest. Sheng Yue sighed, always feeling confused in her heart, and couldn't figure out what kind of feelings Qin Yanji had for her. He seemed to respect her, but also seemed to only want her body. In the silent night, one was lying on the hospital bed, the other on the sofa, both looking at the ceiling and falling into deep thought. Unconsciously, Sheng Yue couldn't resist the sleepiness and fell asleep again. Hearing the steady breathing, Qin Yanji got up from the sofa again, walked to Sheng Yue's side, and gently held her hand. Good night. When Sheng Yue woke up the next day, Qin Yanji had left, and Gigi prepared breakfast on the side. Miss Shen, how did you rest last night? Gigi asked jokingly. The second master actually came to keep watch last night. How incredible it was. Only Miss Shen had this honor. I slept well. Gigi, how long can I be discharged from the hospital? Chapter 19 Framed. It will probably take a week before you can be discharged from the hospital. Sheng Yue nodded, so she still had time to prepare for the family dinner. Qin Yanji had already arranged it and would definitely not let her down. This family dinner was extremely important to her. She not only wanted to punish Qi Xiao and Bai Yuyu, but also to take back everything that belonged to her. While the two were talking, Bai Yuyu came again with a food box. It was really hard for her to arrive on time so early in the morning. Yeah, I specifically asked the doctor for a recipe for you. I will definitely not make a mistake this time. Bai Yuyu said sincerely, and moved the breakfast that Gigi prepared for Sheng Yue aside with disdain, and put her own food box instead. Gigi frowned when she saw it. It was too disrespectful. Try it. Bai Yuyu personally picked up some broccoli and fed it to Sheng Yue's mouth, which was even more excessive than treating her own sisters. Sheng Yue didn't open her mouth. She felt sick just by looking at Bai Yuyu's attentiveness. Since she knew they put drugs in her water last time, she would never dare to eat anything they sent her. Qi Xiao must have told Bai Yuyu about the Qin family dinner. If she got into trouble, Qi Xiao would have to take her to the Qin family dinner. So Bai Yuyu would definitely attack her in the near future. Sheng Yue felt alarmed. I don't like broccoli. Sheng Yue picked up the food box prepared by Gigi again and ate it slowly, not even glancing at what Bai Yuyu brought. Bai Yuyu's hands were frozen in the air. In the past, Sheng Yue would not refuse her, let alone do anything that would make her feel wronged. I'm sorry, yeah, I didn't know. Bai Yuyu could only hold back her anger and apologize to her. Sheng Yue was getting harder and harder to serve. She didn't even want to eat a bite, which directly turned her down. Fortunately, she was well prepared and had someone guard the door of the ward to secretly take a picture of this scene. Since you don't want to eat, then wait to be condemned. Bai Yuyu put on that harmless look again, and started to compete with Gigi for work, serving tea and pouring water. Sheng Yue frowned frequently. Was Bai Yuyu here to make things difficult for her? Even Gigi was miserable. Bai Yuyu was not only in the way, but also took over the work and didn't do it properly, just perfunctorily. Sheng Yue couldn't openly drive Bai Yuyu out, lest she arouse her suspicion of herself, so she simply let Gigi sit next to her and rest. Since Bai Yuyu likes to work, she will do as Bai Yuyu wants. Bai Yuyu was busy all morning, and she hated Sheng Yue lying on the bed watching TV series. You are so good, Sheng Yue. Bai Yuyu's eyes in the bathroom were like poison, and he threw the rag on the ground to vent his anger. HMPH, let's see how long you can be so proud. Bai Yuyu took out her phone and sent the photos to the paparazzi she had contacted. She was slightly excited when she saw the content of the photos. You must discredit Sheng Yue for me so that she won't get any notices next time. After the job is done, the remuneration will be doubled. After sending it, Bai Yu raised her lips proudly. Sheng Yue, let's see how you turn things around this time. Afterwards, she returned to Sheng Yu's side as if nothing had happened, and began to ask her what she wanted for lunch. Her caring appearance made Sheng Yue think that she had not changed and was still her sister. Unfortunately, Bai Yu's best skill was acting. In the entertainment industry, everyone is an actor. If Bai Yu wanted to act, she would accompany him. No need. I asked Gigi to prepare it just now. You've been busy all morning, so just take a good rest. Sheng Yu's seemingly caring words made Bai Yu a little angry. Because of this, she had no way to deal with the food, but Sheng Yu's words were so perfect that she couldn't find a reason to refuse. Okay, thank you Yaya. Bai Yu sat obediently beside her and waited for a while. Gigi came in with a food box. Then when she put the dishes in front of Sheng Yue, Bai Yu found that there was no share for her. She had been busy all morning and didn't even have a meal to eat. Bai Yu couldn't help but look a little ugly and asked Gigi, don't you know there are 2 people in the ward? Miss Bai, if you don't know, you would think you are patient. I am Miss Shen's nurse, not yours. If you want to eat, you can solve it yourself. Gigi also responded without hesitation. If you want her to prepare food for such a person, dream on. Sheng Yue held back her gloating expression. As expected of Gigi, she did a great job. She secretly gave Gigi a thumbs up. You. Bai Yu's eyes widened, as if she was about to spit fire, pointing at Gigi and gritting her teeth. Yeah, I have work to do this afternoon, so I won't accompany you. Bai Yu finally endured it and stomped her feet and left. The more the nurse targeted her, the better it was for her. After all, the cameras she arranged were not vegetarians. Sure enough, the notice Bai Yu sent out in the afternoon began to gain popularity, causing an uproar on the internet. Well-known seniors wantonly instruct popular young actresses in the circle hash. A certain actress plays big, with pictures and the truth hash. Is she a plastic sister or a maid? The eye-catching entry quickly rushed to their hot search at the fastest speed. The picture you clicked on was a picture of Bai Yu taking care of Sheng Yue and doing all kinds of chores in the hospital without eating. The comments were already unbearable to look at. What? They actually asked our goddess to do odd jobs. If I'm not mistaken, the person next to them is a nurse. They are actually sitting there eating fruit. Not only did they order our goddess Yu around like a maid, they didn't even prepare meals for her. You can't judge a person by his appearance. What good sisters. They are feeding the dogs. That's right. Pictures speak louder than words. If it weren't for these photos, I wouldn't know how our goddess Yu usually lives. I feel so sorry. It was just a while ago that it was revealed that actor Chi cheated on actress B, and now it's revealed that actress S is targeting actress B. TSK, there's a lot to be learned here. Upstairs, you found a bright spot. Bai Yu is also a new rising star, and her popularity is not bad. As soon as this photo was released, her die-hard fans were angry, and they began to bite and judge Sheng Yue everywhere. However, Sheng Yue's fans are not easy to mess with. Their real owner has been cuckolded, and it's reasonable to suspect that the cheating object is Bai Yu. It's right for the real owner to deal with the green tea. So they directly directed the heat to Chi Xiao's cheating a while ago, and some people were attracted to it. But more people were still condemning Sheng Yue for treating Bai Yu as a maid, relying on her status as a senior in the circle. Sheng Yue didn't know that the internet had been arguing. Because of her health, she had disconnected from the internet and quit all her work to take care of her body. Chi Xiao has always been paying attention to the trends in the entertainment industry, and he also knew about this matter at the first time. The content in the photo was very clear, and Chi Xiao called Bai Yu. As soon as he answered the phone, Bai Yu's aggrieved voice came, "Brother Xiao, I don't know what's wrong with Yeye. She treated me as a maid in the hospital and didn't give me food." Chapter 20 Sending Chrysanthemum Tea. Chi Xiao was so angry when he heard that. He would lose face if his woman was treated as a maid by others. Even if the person who instructed was his fiancée. He immediately frowned and said, Yu, where are you now? Brother Xiao, I'm eating outside now. Bai Yu was secretly happy in her heart, but she still looked very aggrieved on the surface. Her method really worked. She had read all the comments on the internet, all of which were criticizing Sheng Yue. Sheng Yue was not famous to begin with, and it would be difficult for her to turn things around now. Chi Xiao couldn't possibly like this kind of woman. He liked people who were gentle, considerate, and always on his side. Okay, come with me to the hospital later, and I'll let Yeye apologize to you. Chi Xiao hung up the phone after he finished speaking, and his fair face looked even gloomier. Sure enough, what my mother said was right. Sheng Yue, a woman with no power, no parents, and no education, was indeed not worthy of him. After the Qin family dinner was over, he successfully changed his surname and broke up with Sheng Yue as soon as possible. At the moment, she still had some value. After thinking it through, Chi Xiao calmed down and rushed to the hospital, followed by Bai Yu. A big drama is about to unfold. Sheng Yue was still talking and laughing with Ji, not knowing what was going on. When Chi Xiao and Bai Yu appeared in the ward, Sheng Yue was confused. Didn't they say they had work in the afternoon? Why did they bother her again? Before Sheng Yue opened her mouth, Chi Xiao said in an imperative tone, Yu, apologize to Yu now, and post on Weibo saying that you did it unintentionally, to minimize the risk. Sheng Yue. There were 3 big question marks on her head. Apologize? What kind of apology did she make? I said, did you two take the wrong medicine today? This is their hospital, go check your brain carefully, don't show off your IQ in front of me. Sheng Yue rolled her eyes. She was recovering in the hospital and couldn't rest well. These 2 people were her nemesis. Chi Xiao was so angry that his face turned red and his neck became thick. He said angrily, you still don't repent. Look at what's going on online now. If you still want to stay in the circle, apologize now and be nice. Everything will be fine after the heat passes. Sheng Yue realized that something was wrong. Her face sank and she asked Gigi to give her the phone. At a glance, the hot search had exploded, and the remarks scolding her to get out of the entertainment industry had become a new entry. And the eye-catching photo was taken deliberately, making Bai Yu look pitiful. She looked like a wicked mother-in-law. No wonder she felt that Bai Yu was not right this morning. It turned out that she was setting a trap for her to jump into. Yu, did you take these pictures? Sheng Yue didn't beat around the bush and stared at Bai Yu sharply. This is the VIP ward of the hospital. Paparazzi can't get in, let alone take these pictures. Yeye, how can you wrong me? If Yeye doesn't believe it, I will issue a statement now, saying that everything is my own will and no one forced me. Bai Yu's eyes were full of tears, and her soft eyes looked at Chi Xiao pitifully. Brother Xiao, I told you not to come to Yeye, it's all my fault. Chi Xiao frowned badly, and felt distressed. At this time, Yu still wanted to solve it herself. Sheng Yue sneered, what a green tea and white lotus. She immediately fought back, did I force you? You are the one who rushed to do all this, Yu, I treat you as a good sister, but you plotted against me behind my back. Chi Xiao, do you believe her or me? Sheng Yu's nose was red, and her eyes moved between the 2. Could her 5-year relationship with Chi Xiao earn his trust? Sheng Yue, have you had enough? Yu is kind and doesn't argue with you, but you still want to put the blame on her. It's simply unreasonable. Sheng Yue clenched her hands hard, her eyes slightly red, suppressing the bitterness in her heart. She obviously knew the answer, why did she ask and humiliate herself? 5 years, 5 whole years she devoted herself to this man, and the result was the word unreasonable. Good, very good. Sheng Yue closed her eyes and tried to calm her emotions, for fear that she would cry out without control. It would be a lie to say that she was not sad. She was in so much pain that she could hardly breathe. Get out. All of you, get out. Sheng Yue didn't want to play along with them anymore. She pointed at the door with her teeth trembling, furious. Bai Yu and Chi Xiao were startled by Sheng Yue. They had never seen Sheng Yue so angry, as they were used to her gentle and smiling face. Bai Yu knew what Sheng Yue was angry about. She was angry that her boyfriend, who she had loved for 5 years, didn't believe her. She was angry that her best friend betrayed her without any evidence. This was the scene she wanted to see. Gigi was anxious watching from the side. Miss Sheng was bullied by 2 people again. As an outsider, she couldn't stand it anymore. She quickly took out her phone and sent a message to Qin Yanji, asking him to come and save her, otherwise Miss Sheng would be really pissed off by these 2 idiots. Chi Xiao took a deep breath and said in a condescending manner, Sheng Yue, I won't help you solve this matter, you can do it yourself. I will pick you up to attend the Qin family's family banquet next week. When you are well, go and prepare gifts for each family. This is a rare opportunity for you. Yu, let's go. Bai Yu was angry when she heard this. Sheng Yu's reputation was so bad, but she was still being taken to the Qin family's family banquet. Wasn't everything she did in vain? Although she was unwilling, Bai Yuyu didn't dare to say anything. Just as Qi Xiao and Bai Yuyu turned around, Sheng Yu's voice came. I won't go. Qi Xiao was instantly displeased. You won't go? You should know that this is an opportunity that others can't even ask for. My health won't be good next week, you can take someone else, just say I'm not feeling well, so that others won't think you're treacherous. Why don't you let Yuyu go instead of me? She's my good friend, and I'll feel at ease if she goes with you. Sheng Yue took the opportunity to propose. Her tone was calm, as if she was really considering Qi Xiao. This made Bai Yuyu very happy, and Qi Xiao had no reason to refuse. After all, Sheng Yue was now in the midst of public opinion, and if she took her, it would affect his position in the Qin family. Immediately agreed, let Sheng Yue have a good rest and leave with Bai Yuyu. As soon as the two left, Sheng Yue felt physically and mentally exhausted, and her head hurt a lot. It was a brain-burning job to deal with scumbags and bitches. Dong, dong, dong. The door of the ward was knocked again, and Sheng Yue thought it was those two idiots coming back, and said in a bad tone, Are you done yet? The next second, the door of the ward was pushed open. So angry. A familiar voice came from outside the door, the tone was deep and touching. The man was wearing a pure black wool suit, a pair of black leather boots and a white shirt, and holding an inappropriate thermos cup in his hand. Second Master. Sheng Yue felt embarrassed for a moment. Why are you here? I brought you chrysanthemum tea to relieve internal heat and reduce body temperature. Chapter 21. The house key was changed. Gigi was very tactful at this time and left, and even closed the door. Thank you. Sheng Yue took the chrysanthemum tea. She really needed it to calm down now. After all, the lethality of the two plague gods was not to be underestimated. After drinking 2 mouthfuls, Sheng Yue felt much better. She put the chrysanthemum tea aside, a little at a loss. Every time Qin Yanji appeared, it seemed that she was in a mess. I have given Bai Yuyu the place for the Qi family dinner. They will definitely attend. In order to ease the embarrassment, Sheng Yue took the initiative to bring up the topic, with her head slightly lowered. There were traces of crying in her eyes. She didn't want Qin Yanji to see it. Qin Yanji's eyebrows were stained with a touch of heartache. Gigi had already expressed everything that had just happened to him in writing. Looking at Sheng Yue, who was extremely wronged, he had an impulse to hug her immediately, but he just clenched his fists and suppressed such thoughts. He wanted to take action to deal with the two people, but Sheng Yue could only take revenge by herself to completely let go of their past. Qin Yanji was a little helpless. He had only known her for a few days, and he couldn't count how many times he saw Sheng Yue being wronged. He was not good at saying comforting words, and finally only said one sentence: Whatever they do to you, you should fight back. I am behind you, you can do whatever you want, understand? Don't be so wronged. The more sad you are, the more proud they are. Sheng Yue didn't expect Qin Yanji to comfort herself and say such domineering words. He is worthy of being second master. But this feeling of being unconditionally supported by others is so beautiful. Sheng Yue's nose was slightly sour. She snorted and pouted. Second master, I seriously suspect you are lying to me now. Qin Yanji, ? You are so good at coaxing girls, did you really not have an ex-girlfriend before? Sheng Yue was skeptical. Could it be that Qin Yanji had learned this skill without a teacher? She didn't believe it. Qin Yanji raised his eyebrows and smiled gently, stretched out his hand to gently stroke her hair, leaned close to her ear, and his warm breath tickled her ears. He joked. Miss Sheng, if you are so curious, why not try it with me? Sheng Yue. Wait, the plot is a little wrong. Why does it feel like Qin Yanji has changed a lot since she fell into the sea? Isn't this a perfect master of picking up girls? Who wouldn't be confused when facing the rich, handsome, and gentle Qin second master? Sheng Yue swallowed her saliva and almost agreed to it unconsciously, but was finally pulled back to reality by reason. With Qin Yanji's status, how could he possibly fall in love with her? At most, it was just for fun. She shouldn't have unrealistic fantasies. Qin Yanji wanted her just to covet her body, and she used Qin Yanji to achieve her own goals. They used each other and owed nothing to each other. After Sheng Yue woke up, she pulled Qin Yanji's tie, blinked her eyes, and smiled, with a little seduction and mischief. Second master, haven't I always been yours? You charming little goblin. Qin Yanji's eyes deepened, and he raised Sheng Yu's chin domineeringly and kissed her deeply. His palm around Sheng Yu's waist was hot. Sheng Yu's waist softened a little, and she looked at him with misty eyes. She opened her red lips slightly, wanting to say something shyly. Second master, this is a hospital. The ambiguity seemed to melt into the air along with these words, fermenting and spreading. Not to mention Sheng Yu's teasing, Qin Yanji couldn't control himself just because she was right next to him. The two kissed passionately, and the whole room was filled with an ambiguous atmosphere. When Qin Yanji wanted to take the next step, Sheng Yue bit her lip, stretched out her hand to hang on his neck. Her drunken little face was flushed, and her voice was low. Second master, I'm not well yet. Don't worry, I'll be gentle. After a lot of lovemaking, Sheng Yue regretted listening to Qin Yanji's words. In this matter, Qin Yanji was like a beast that had no appetite. After pestering her again and again, Sheng Yue was exhausted and couldn't say a word. She didn't even have the strength to raise her hand. After each time, Qin Yanji was full of energy, and he also asked Sheng Yue to take good care of her body so that she would be more relaxed in the future. Sheng Yue was angry but dared not speak. What could she do when she met such a big Buddha? Of course, I can only take good care of my body. A week later, Sheng Yue recovered and was discharged from the hospital after careful nursing. She did not tell Qi Xiao and Bai Yuyu about this matter, but only said that she was still in the hospital, so that they could go to the Qin family dinner tomorrow with peace of mind. On the day of discharge, Qin Yanji came to pick her up in person. He came quite often during this period, so that Sheng Yu's legs trembled a little when she saw Qin Yanji now. Second master, you are so busy, and you still have time to pick me up from the hospital. Sheng Yue said with a fake smile. To pick you up, of course I have time. Qin Yanji pursed his lips meaningfully. You seem to be afraid of me. Sheng Yue laughed in her heart. How could she not be afraid? She was afraid that one day she would die in bed. No, second master, you worry too much. I am so happy that you are here. Sheng Yue laughed happily, and simply gave all the things in her hand to Qin Yanji. Since someone is helping her do hard labor, why not do it? Qin Yanji was not annoyed. After taking the things, he and Gigi moved all the things into the car, and also acted as a driver. As soon as she got home, Sheng Yue took out the key to open the door, but found that the key could not be inserted. Hey, did I take the wrong key? Sheng Yue carefully looked at her key. Sure enough, the keychain on it was her favorite Kuromi. Looking at the door lock carefully again, she found something wrong. Her door lock was changed. Sheng Yu's face turned black instantly. She was only in the hospital for a week, and her house was robbed. The fists under her sleeves were clenched and creaked. She was angry and resentful, and she couldn't say a word. It was too much and too disgusting. Qin Yanji and Gigi were not far behind. Gigi poked her head several times and asked, Miss Sheng, what happened? It's okay, wait for me to call. Sheng Yue pretended to be fine, took out her mobile phone and called Qi Xiao immediately. It took a long time for the other end to answer the call, and it was still the same magnetic and gentle voice. Yeah, what's wrong? What's wrong? You still dare to ask? Qi Xiao, did you change my house key? Sheng Yue asked as soon as she opened her mouth. If Qi Xiao was in front of her, she would want to tear him apart. You went home. Qi Xiao did not answer directly, but was worried that Sheng Yue had been discharged from the hospital. If she was discharged from the hospital, it would not only be inappropriate to bring Bai Yuyu to the family dinner, but also give people a chance to talk about it. Sheng Yue sneered, her eyes were cold. Answer my question, why did you change my door lock? My cousin has no place to live, so my mother asked someone to change the door lock. Yeah, aren't you going to join the group soon? Wait for a while. Qi Xiao. Chapter 22 His Carefulness. Sheng Yu's eyes were red, and her neck was red with anger. This is my house. Why are you doing this? Change the door lock for me now. Tell those who don't want to lock the door to get out of my house. Get out. Sheng Yue roared, her lower lip had been bitten to bleed, tears were falling uncontrollably, her heart was in pain, and her whole body was shaking uncontrollably. How could they do this to her? Yeah, I am the owner of the house, you are my fiancé, since you are going to join the group, you have to follow my arrangements. Qi Xiao hung up the phone after he finished speaking, and no one answered when Sheng Yue called again. She didn't give up and called again, and then Qi Xiao blocked her. Sheng Yue couldn't help cursing, damn, you black-hearted Qi Xiao. Are you going to let me sleep on the street? joining a group. Since Bai Yu framed her, her reputation has plummeted, and all endorsements, contracts, and film and television contracts have been terminated with her. Qi Xiao couldn't possibly not know about this. He did this now because he was sure of the Qin family dinner tomorrow, and couldn't wait to kick her out. Sheng Yue reacted and stood there in a daze, standing woodenly at the door. A little disappointment gradually accumulated into irreversible despair. Tears fell silently, and her eyes were dead silent. Gigi and Qin Yanji heard it clearly, and they never thought that someone could be so shameless. Gigi was shaking with anger and said angrily, "This idiot, I'll call someone to change the door lock now." Gigi was about to make a phone call, but Sheng Yue stopped her, shook her head, and smiled bitterly. "To change the door lock, the owner must agree. This is my house. He took advantage of me being drunk to trick me into transferring the house to him. Now I am homeless. Not only the house, all the property under my name, cars, shops, and company shares were all transferred to his name quietly by him." Every word made Sheng Yue's heart bleed. She had never hated as much as she did at this moment, and had never wanted to kill as much as she did at this moment. The overwhelming hatred swept her whole body. She hated Qi Xiao's cruelty, hated this evil world, and hated her own stupidity, her powerlessness, and hated that she could only watch and do nothing. Gigi was completely speechless, and her eyes were full of heartache when she looked at Sheng Yue. In this world, there really is such a peerless scumbag, who is simply not a human being. Qin Yanji had a cold face throughout the whole process. Seeing Sheng Yue so sad, he walked forward without saying a word, took her hand, asked her to get in the car and restarted the accelerator. Sheng Yue's eyes were dull, and she leaned against the car window with silent tears falling, not thinking about where Qin Yanji would take her. Anyway, she was a homeless person. Gigi could only stroke Sheng Yue's back gently, and cursed Qi Xiao's ancestors in her heart. The car stopped steadily at the door of Lianmianju Villa, which is a famous rich area. The privacy and security environment are both top-notch, the land is worth a fortune, and even first-line female stars can't live in this villa area. This will be your home in the future. Qin Yanji spoke softly and took Sheng Yue's hand. "I will help you get back your things one by one." Second master. Sheng Yue burst into tears in an instant, crying and crying, laughing with tears. At this moment, she fell in love with Qin Yanji. She was an orphan without a father or a mother. She was plotted by Qi Xiao and had to live on the streets. If it weren't for Qin Yanji, she didn't dare to think about how she would live in the future. Qin Yanji took the initiative to open his arms and hugged Sheng Yue hard, as if he wanted to embed her in his arms. The emotions in his eyes turned, and he was furious. The person he wanted to hold in his hands was treated like this. At that moment, he even wanted to order a direct ban on Qi Xiao, but it was too easy for him. Sheng Yue could feel a pair of warm hands caressing her back. Although she couldn't see Qin Yanji's expression, she could only feel him hugging her tightly. After hugging for a long time, Sheng Yue's mood calmed down and she took the initiative to get out of his arms. Thank you, second master." Sheng Yue said it twice. Even if she said it 10 times, she felt it was not enough. Her insignificant thank you words brought her endless warmth from Qin Yanji. Qin Yanji shook his head and wiped the tears from Sheng Yue's eyes. "Don't cry anymore, this won't happen again." "Okay." Sheng Yue nodded, smiled again, and vowed not to shed a tear for Qi Xiao again. What a bullshit 5-year relationship, fuck it. With the help of Gigi and Qin Yanji, Sheng Yue settled down in Lianmianju. There were all kinds of daily necessities in it, and there was also a housekeeper, Zhang Mar. Qin Yanji stayed by Sheng Yue's side until everything was settled. During dinner, Qin Yanji took the initiative to speak. "Tomorrow is the family dinner. This time, it is to welcome my sister back to China to recognize her relatives, so it will be held grandly. I specially selected several suitable dresses and jewelry for you. I have found the evidence that Bai Yu slandered you on the internet. I will announce it tomorrow to clear your name." This series of appropriate operations made Sheng Yue not know what to say. She felt warm in her heart and nodded. "Okay, as long as it is arranged by you, I like it. Then how do you want to repay me? Saying thank you is not enough." Qin Yanji whispered in Sheng Yue's ear, and the low and charming voice passed by her ear. Sheng Yue blushed, stared at the bowl in front of her, and said coquettishly, "Second master, can you eat well? It's been so many times, and you are still shy." Qin Yanji got closer and took the initiative to put his arm around Sheng Yue's waist and pinched her. "Second master, Sheng Yue didn't hesitate, she simply put down the chopsticks in her hand, took the initiative to sit on Qin Yanji's legs, hooked her arms around his neck and kissed him. Little demon. Qin Yanji took the initiative and directly picked up Sheng Yue and went to the bedroom. Second master, I haven't eaten yet. Sure, fill my stomach first. After another night of tossing and turning, Sheng Yue woke up when it was already bright, and there was no temperature around her. There was a note left by Qin Yanji on the table. Sheng Yue opened it and saw that the handwriting was vigorous and unrestrained, just as the name said. Breakfast downstairs, see you at the family dinner. Sheng Yue read the short 8 words again and again, shyly put the note on her chest. The feeling of being put in someone's heart was too wonderful. At this moment, Aunt Zhang knocked on the door and said respectfully, Miss Shen, breakfast is ready. The makeup artist arranged by the second master has arrived downstairs. When Sheng Yue heard this, she jumped up from the bed without caring about her love affair. Okay, I'll be down right away. When she arrived downstairs, she saw the sumptuous breakfast and her mouth twitched. It's not necessary to be so extravagant, right? There were at least 18 dishes on the table. They were all breakfasts from all over the country, including morning tea and crab roe buns. Ding dong. Just at this time, Qin Yanji sent a message. Qin Yanji, you are too weak. You need to take more supplements. Chapter 23 Family Dinner. Sheng Yue held her forehead and typed back immediately. Sheng Yue, I'm not a pig, I can't eat so much, you're wasting money. Soon, Qin Yanji replied. Qin Yanji, I like piglets. Sheng Yue was completely speechless. It's true that rich people are different. But Qin Yanji should be very busy at this time, right? Sheng Yue tactfully didn't reply again, fearing that she would delay Qin Yanji. Qin Yanji was indeed very busy. The family dinner had already been set up at the Qin family villa, and some guests had already arrived. Second brother, you've been looking at your phone. Is there a beauty in your phone? Lu Jinju suddenly appeared behind Qin Yanji and joked. Are you free? Qin Yanji put away his phone and warned Lu Jinju with his eyes, but the smile on his lips was always there. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that he was in a good mood. Lu Jinju sighed, as expected, men who have had sex are different. Second brother, do you know what you look like now? Qin Yanji asked, what do you look like? Lu Jinju clapped his hands and said excitedly, a peacock. The kind that is flamboyant. Qin Yanji. Are you looking for death? Qin Yanji sneered, it seems that there are not enough tasks assigned to you today. You have the leisure to joke with me. As he said that, Qin Yanji was about to wave and call someone to assign tasks for Lu Jinju. Lu Jinju saw that it was too much, and hurriedly pulled Qin Yanji, saying pitifully, second brother, you know that I always hate these red tapes the most, please be kind and let me go. I wish you and sister-in-law a happy marriage and a long-lasting love. Lu Jinju added, winking at Qin Yanji. Qin Yanji was barely relieved after hearing this, and warned, there won't be a next time. Okay. Thank you, second brother, take care Tilda. Lu Jinju was as happy as if he had been pardoned, not to mention how happy he was, and he also found out an amazing news. His second sister-in-law is a remarkable person. The Qin family banquet attracted much attention, but because it was a family banquet, only the direct descendants and branches of the Qin family could attend. But the number of people was also spectacular enough, with more than 200 people in total, including big and small people and their families. The Qin family has a clear management hierarchy and power structure to ensure that family members have appropriate status and rights in the family. Everyone is in charge of the veins of various businesses in the Qin family, forming a strong network of relationships. This is also the foundation for the Qin family to stand firm and reach the peak of world power. Behind the power, there are also relatively strict rules. The hierarchy explains everything. The direct descendants can judge, criticize, and distribute the branches. And there is a strong hierarchy between the two, and they must not go beyond the rules. The family banquet is a good opportunity for the branches to win people's hearts. Therefore, this family dinner was a rare opportunity for Qi Xiao. As night fell, the main dinner officially began. Qi Xiao appeared in the Qin family with Bai Yuyu in a high-profile manner. After all, Qi Xiao's identity was no longer a secret, and he was also a newly crowned movie emperor. For a while, he became a bit of a celebrity in the Qin family. Although he was an illegitimate child, he still had the blood of the Qin family. People from the branch came forward to greet Qi Xiao. However, the direct descendants looked down on illegitimate children. They had their own nobility, and today's protagonist did not recognize Qi Xiao as an illegitimate child. Not to mention Bai Yuyu, who not only wore a long-collected haute couture dress, but also spent a lot of money to prepare gifts for every direct descendant of the Qin family. The money she spent was most of her hard work for more than 20 years. Although it hurt, she could not catch the wolf without sacrificing the child. And her behavior made the people from the branch dissatisfied, and they directly treated them as heir. The direct descendants ignored them and went up to give gifts eagerly. After a circle, fewer and fewer people greeted Qi Xiao and Bai Yuyu, and their presence was minimal. "Brother Xiao, did I do something wrong?" Bai Yuyu took Qi Xiao's shoulder and asked carefully. She was a little breathless in this solemn and hierarchical Qin family. It was more uncomfortable than any party she had attended before, because this was a real banquet for the rich. Qi Xiao frowned and was very unhappy. "Can't you prepare a complete gift? Aren't you offending the people in the branch?" Bai Yuyu was wronged and whispered, "I don't have much money. If I give gifts to more than 200 people, it won't be enough even if I empty my family's funds. Forget it, take it one step at a time, don't embarrass me." Although Qi Xiao complained, he could only greet him with a smile and took Bai Yuyu to shuttle through the banquet. "Hey, isn't this the actor Qi?" Lu Jinju wore a white suit, burgundy hair, charming phoenix eyes, and held a wine glass in his hand, wanton and flamboyant. Qi Xiao was very excited when he saw Lu Jinju, and said with a smile, "Cousin." "Hey, what kind of relatives are you trying to make? I'm not your cousin. How can your female companion not be Sheng Yue?" "Qi Xiao, this is a family dinner." Lu Jinju emphasized the word family dinner clearly, family, and he actually brought his mistress to attend. The noise here caused people around to whisper. He is originally an illegitimate child, and he really doesn't change his bad habits. He dares to bring his mistress here blatantly. With this kind of character, he still wants to enter the Qin family, dream about it. Master Qin hates people with bad family traditions the most. Now there will be a good show to watch. Qi Xiao's dream of changing his surname will be shattered. After a few words, Qi Xiao and Bai Yuyu stood there awkwardly, and Bai Yuyu even wanted to find a hole to crawl into. Sheng Yue didn't come, but she could still feel her presence. At this time, Sheng Yue had just finished dressing up. She simply chose a black tube-top dress, a light-colored shawl, and simply tied up her long and beautiful hair. She looked like a cool and elegant lady, not ostentatious, low-key and gentle, with a stunning and luxurious style. "Wow, so beautiful. Miss Sheng, you are so beautiful, but you are not popular in the entertainment industry. It's a pity." The makeup artist and the costume designer praised her one by one, all from her heart, without any exaggeration. They have received young ladies from many aristocratic families, but there are not many people who can make them praise sincerely. Sheng Yue was embarrassed by the praise. She knew she was beautiful, but she wanted to be seen not only for her beauty, but more for her acting skills and strength. There is still one thing missing. Qin Yanji came in from the main door, holding a gift box in his hand, and was very elegant. "Second master." Sheng Yue gently lifted her skirt, and was very surprised by Qin Yanji's arrival. He should be in the Qin family's old house at this time. "You are very beautiful tonight." Qin Yanji stared at Sheng Yue, who was so beautiful that nothing could compare to her, and then opened the gift box. "This is the gift I picked for you at the auction. Only you deserve this sapphire necklace." Chapter 24 Stunning Appearance. In the treasure box, the water drop shape is like the tears of a deep-sea mermaid, and the diamond-encrusted design highlights the brilliance and shine of the main stone. Is this the tears of a mermaid? It caused a sensation in Europe back then, and countless wealthy people fought for it, and finally disappeared. The makeup artist is knowledgeable, and her tone trembled slightly, as if she couldn't believe that she saw the necklace that all girls dream of. The price and market value of this necklace are inestimable, and it is not an exaggeration to say that it is worth a city. Sheng Yue took a closer look and found that the sapphire necklace was indeed extremely beautiful, but the more precious it was, the less she dared to hope for it. "Second master, I still consider it." Before Sheng Yue finished speaking, Qin Yanji took the initiative to step forward and put the necklace on Sheng Yue's neck. The strapless black dress revealed her beautiful and sexy collarbone, and the exaggerated teardrop-shaped sapphire luster was so dazzling that people couldn't take their eyes off it. It matched the retro red lips and looked like a noble black swan. "Beautiful, I said only you are worthy of this necklace." Qin Yanji raised the corners of his mouth and looked at his work with satisfaction. It was more beautiful than he had imagined. Is this too high profile? Sheng Yue hesitated. The dress she chose was originally low-key, and it was completely different with this necklace. Qin Yanji shook his head, his jawline tensed, and after a while, he pursed his lips towards her, his eyes dark and obscure. No, compared to the suffering you have endured, this is not high profile. Tonight is your first battle, I will accompany you. Sheng Yue is not hypocritical. Qin Yanji said a lot. Today she wants to let Qi Xiao and Bai Yu know that she, Sheng Yue, is not a weed that can be trampled on by anyone. Even if she is alone, she is the most beautiful and noble black swan. Let's go. Qin family banquet. The soothing and melodious music sounded in people's ears, floating gently in the wide and deep banquet hall, but the fragrance of flowers and the dazzling shadows of celebrities and nobles gathered. The drama is still going on, Lu Jinju sighed, it turns out to be a mistress. The dramatic words are like a stone falling into the calm lake, causing an uproar. Everyone knew it but didn't dare to put it on the table. Lu Jinju was so angry that he looked at Qi Xiao and Bai Yu with condemnation. Bai Yu wanted to find a hole to crawl into, and held Qi Xiao's sleeve tightly, looking a little embarrassed. Qi Xiao still maintained a smile and explained to Lu Jinju calmly, my fiancé fell into the sea while saving someone some time ago and is now recuperating in a hospital. Yu is her good friend. Lu Jinju smiled meaningfully, really. Qi Xiao frowned, wondering why Lu Jinju mentioned Sheng Yue for no reason, as if he was deliberately targeting him. And the banquet had been going on for so long, he hadn't seen Qin Yanji, the head of the Qin family. Suddenly, someone in the banquet said that the second master was here, and everyone looked at the door. Qin Yanji was seen wearing a blue-purple tuxedo and holding a woman on the stage. Under the bright lights, the luster of the sapphire necklace blinded everyone present. Not only that, the woman was wearing a black dress that was low-key and not luxurious, with a slender figure and outstanding grace. She didn't seem to be outdone when standing next to Qin Yanji. They were not a foil for each other, but a perfect match. You should know that Qin Yanji never had a female companion when attending various banquets, and this was the first time in history. What a perfect match, who is the woman next to the second master? She is so beautiful. I have seen that necklace in a European museum before, it is the tears of a mermaid. Didn't it disappear a long time ago? It actually appeared. I seem to know her, she is Sheng Yue, a third-tier celebrity, and seems to be Qi Xiao's fiancé. Sheng Yue's name flooded into Qi Xiao and Bai Yu's ears. When the two of them looked closely, who else could it be but Sheng Yue? Qi Xiao's face turned pale, and he never thought that Qin Yanji's female companion today would be Sheng Yue. Bai Yu was even more furious, his fingernails dug into his flesh, and he was so angry at Sheng Yue who was surrounded by people. When did Sheng Yue know Qin Yanji? She entered the venue as a female companion. Such treatment is a blessing that she can't get in 8 lifetimes. Hey, didn't you say that your fiancé is recuperating in the hospital? Did you make up a lie to take care of the mistress? Just at this time, Lu Jinju added a sentence, his voice was neither loud nor soft, and everyone around could hear it. The lie was directly exposed on the spot, and Qi Xiao was instantly labeled as a liar and unfaithful. Qi Xiao could only barely maintain a smile and stopped talking. The wine glass in his hand was almost crushed by him. He wanted to rush forward to question, but he saw her chatting and laughing beside Qin Yanji in the crowd. She was different from the Sheng Yue he knew before. Such Sheng Yue made him more reluctant to let go. Bai Yu also noticed the change in Qi Xiao's expression. She had worked so hard for so long, but as soon as Sheng Yue appeared, she was nothing. Why? When she thought about what she had worked so hard to get, and Sheng Yue could get it as soon as she appeared, she felt like a huge rock was pressing on her heart, making her breathless. The nails of her clenched fists were deeply embedded in her hands, but she didn't react at all. There seemed to be a monster in her heart, leading her step by step to the abyss. Her eyes gradually became colder and her heart became extremely vicious. Sheng Yue naturally noticed Qi Xiao and Bai Yu in the corner and responded with a polite smile. Seeing Bai Yu's resentful eyes, Sheng Yue found it funny. Standing beside her fiancé openly, you still have the nerve to hate her. Sheng Yue sneered in her heart. This has just begun. Suddenly, the music of the banquet stopped. On the high platform on the second floor, the old man of the Qin family appeared with a woman on his arm, and everyone looked at them. The woman was wearing a light blue dress. Her eyes were curved, her skin was whiter than snow, and her face was as beautiful as jade. The blue diamond necklace Qin Yanji bought for 1 billion yuan was on her neck. Old Master Qin was wearing a dark grey Zhongshan suit as usual, standing upright, looking majestic and untouchable. As the former patriarch, Old Master Qin's words were final in the entire Qin family. Welcome everyone. First of all, I welcome my granddaughter Qin Xinlan back to China. Please take care of the elders in the family in the future. Go back to your own home and relax. Old Master Qin didn't say much. He simply explained a few words and then retreated behind the scenes. After all, his age was there, and all the family affairs had long been fully handed over to Qin Yanji. Qin Xinlan briefly introduced herself, hoping to be accepted by her uncles. She was the granddaughter of the Qin family who was recognized and had no roots in the Qin family. The grand welcome ceremony for her was to confirm her position in the direct line of the Qin family. When Sheng Yue saw the necklace, he was really convinced that Qin Xinlan was Qin Yanji's sister and he did not lie to him. Do you believe it now? Chapter 25 I won't lie to you. Qin Yanji lowered his head slightly and whispered to Sheng Yue. I believe it. Sheng Yue nodded. In fact, she didn't doubt Qin Yanji's words. It was just that she had lost her basic trust in men after experiencing Qi Xiao. Sheng Yue, I won't lie to you, not now, not in the future. Qin Yanji spoke inexplicably, like a promise, but also like a vow. I don't believe you. Sheng Yue pouted, because her heart was beating non-stop because of this sentence. She had chosen to believe in her heart. The heart can't lie to people. Qin Yanji didn't say anything, but he held Sheng Yue's waist more deeply and let her lean on him. The interaction between the two was seen by many people. This sweet look, those who didn't know thought they were a newlywed couple. Qi Xiao felt that he was cheated on. Sheng Yue actually cheated on him in front of him. Qin Xinlan looked at Qin Yanji and the woman next to him on the stage. He was so close, and his beautiful eyebrows frowned slightly. When did a woman appear next to his second brother? She didn't show her face, but directed the conversation to Qin Yanji. As the clan leader, Qin Yanji was going to speak on stage, so Sheng Yue waited for him obediently. When Qin Yanji left, Qi Xiao and Bai Yuyu came over. Sheng Yue, what are you doing? Qi Xiao suppressed his anger and asked. Bai Yuyu also added sarcastically, yeah, you have a fiancé now, it's not good to appear next to another man openly, right? Sheng Yue. Bai Yuyu, didn't you appear next to my fiancé first? Why don't you feel shameless? Qi Xiao, can't you see what I'm doing? Of course I'm attending the family dinner, what's wrong? Do you think I, Sheng Yue, need you to come in? Sheng Yue's tone was frivolous, and she was able to have a calm conversation with the person she had loved for 5 years. Yeah, are you angry with me? Are you doing this out of spite? After the banquet, I immediately asked my mother to change the door lock. Don't be so willful. Qi Xiao always thought that Sheng Yue was just angry and did this to make him angry. After all, Sheng Yue loved him so much. As long as he coaxed her, Sheng Yue's life would be given to him. It's a pity that Sheng Yue is no longer the Sheng Yue she used to be. Sheng Yue sneered, her eyes full of indifference. Qi Xiao, I will make you pay back the money you have done with interest. Just wait for the court summons. You. Qi Xiao was furious and gritted his teeth and said, don't forget, you are still my fiancé. How can you be so shameless? Yeah, how can you insult brother Xiao like this? If this gets out to the circle, everyone will laugh at you. Bai Yuyu seemed to be considering Qi Xiao, but in fact she was saying that Sheng Yue was not self-disciplined and seduced people everywhere. Sheng Yue was almost laughing at these two little guys. They were really thicker than the city wall, and they pushed her bottom line again and again. If there weren't so many people around, she would have wanted to step forward and slap them in the face to vent her anger. Qi Xiao. From the moment you and Bai Yuyu went to bed, we broke up. Please give me back what belongs to me and don't bother each other from now on, otherwise I will let you know how to regret coming to this world. Sheng Yue tried to control her emotions, the words jumped out from her teeth, and her fists clenched. Go to bed. Shocking news. The former good sister was accused of seducing her boyfriend, and the truth turned out to be like this. Qin Yanji was speaking on the stage, and the big melon had already been revealed below. Although they already knew that Qi Xiao had cheated, now the real owner came out to prove it. At the moment, Qi Xiao completely lost the possibility of returning to the Qin family. Bai Yuyu took a panicked step back. How did Sheng Yue know? Obviously, the two of them were very careful. Qi Xiao's face suddenly changed. He didn't expect things to develop like this. Now that the Qin family knew that he was treacherous, changing his surname was absolutely impossible. And all this was because of Sheng Yue. Qi Xiao stepped forward, grabbed Sheng Yue's hand, and said viciously, "What good will it do you to destroy me? Let go." Sheng Yue's wrist was pinched by Qi Xiao so hard that she almost cried. At this moment, Qi Xiao was as terrifying as a demon. The situation he had carefully prepared was ruined because of Sheng Yue. How could he not hate her? How could Qi Xiao let go? Sheng Yue was more beautiful now than before, but he hated her so much that his heart was bleeding. "Why don't you listen to me? Why?" Qi Xiao almost roared in a low voice, close to Sheng Yue's ear, and the strength in his hand doubled. Bai Yu suddenly relaxed. Yes, that's it. The more Qi Xiao hated Sheng Yue, the happier she was. In this way, the position of Mrs. Qi could only be hers. Just when Sheng Yue thought her wrist was about to break, Qin Yanji appeared. He had just spoken a few words when he realized something was wrong. He paused and came to Sheng Yue's side, pushing Qi Xiao away. "What kind of man are you if you hit a woman?" Qin Yanji's low and cold voice sounded faintly, his dark eyes like obsidian flashed with luster, and the low tail tone contained a dangerous breath. He hugged Sheng Yue in his arms again, full of possessiveness. When Sheng Yue saw Qin Yanji, her originally uneasy heart instantly settled, as if as long as he appeared, any problem could be solved. Qi Xiao took a step back in fear and trembled. "Second master. HMPH, a scum like you still wants to join the Qin family tree. From now on, I declare that Qi Xiao will never be able to join the Qin family. Not only that, from now on I don't want to see these two people at the Qin family's banquet, do you understand?" Qin Yanji's voice was not loud, but it spread to the ears of everyone at the banquet. The clan leader's words were final. Qi Xiao's eyes widened. Qin Yanji's words made him completely lose the chance to return to the Qin family. Bai Yu was obviously also frightened. Qin Yanji was willing to offend his uncle directly for Sheng Yue. What kind of magic potion did Sheng Yue give to the second master? "Second master, I lost my mind and shouldn't listen to this woman's slander. I hope the second master will not take my fault into consideration. Yeah, I was really wrong. You and the second master explain it well. I shouldn't have done it. It's all my fault." Qi Xiao put down his posture and began to humbly beg Qin Yanji and Sheng Yue. Once Qin Yanji's order was really implemented, he would have no chance to be a rich family in this life and could only be an actor for the rest of his life. This was not the situation he wanted. Even if he didn't want this face, he must not let this happen. Unfortunately, Sheng Yue's heart had long been as cold as a stone. When Qi Xiao drove her out of the house, the last bit of affection between the two of them was gone. "Get out, the farther the better." Sheng Yue pointed at Bai Yu and Qi Xiao without hesitation, and said to Qin Yanji in a coquettish voice, "Second master, I don't want to see them." Chapter 26. You are not qualified. Qin Yanji rarely saw Sheng Yue acting coquettishly, and was in a good mood immediately, looking at Sheng Yue tenderly. "Okay, I'll listen to you. Kick them out, don't get in my baby's eyes." After Qin Yanji gave the order, Qi Xiao and Bai Yu were thrown out by the security guards like garbage. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that Sheng Yue is now the treasure in Qin Yanji's hand. They have already obeyed Sheng Yue's orders, and the Qin family will have a master's wife. No matter whether they are direct or branch, they all came forward to try to get close to Sheng Yue. They didn't care about power and status at all. Whoever Qin Yanji likes is the symbol of power and status. And Qi Xiao and Bai Yu, who were kicked out, were still a little confused. They never expected that the situation would develop like this. They spent a lot of money and not only did they not get any benefits, but they were also kicked out. Bai Yu's mind was filled with the image of Qin Yanji protecting Sheng Yue. That was Qin Yanji, a godlike man. How could anyone not be jealous when he protected Sheng Yue so much and held her in his hands? Qi Xiao didn't know how to describe his mood. It was worse than eating shit. He didn't even know when Sheng Yue had contact with Qin Yanji. "Brother Xiao, what should we do now?" Bai Yu gritted her teeth. "Now Sheng Yue, that bitch, has become a phoenix on the tree, which is very disadvantageous to us." Qi Xiao sneered. "Why are you panicking? Who is the second master? How could he possibly like Sheng Yue? At most, he would like her beauty for a few days, and then kick her out in a few days. Sheng Yue is angry with me now. How can we let go of our 5-year relationship? She is still useful now. Let Sheng Yue talk to the second master about it later, and I can still go back to the Qin family. Bai Yu hesitated, and didn't quite believe that Sheng Yue still had feelings for Qi Xiao, but she didn't dare to say it openly. Qi Xiao now was a bomb at the first touch, and could only agree, yes, wait until Yu Yu's anger subsided, we will find her again. Qi Xiao nodded, thinking in his heart how to win back Sheng Yu's heart and let Bai Yu go home by herself. Bai Yu was so angry that he stomped his feet on the spot. How glorious he was when he came, how embarrassed he was now. The next second, her cell phone rang. It was her agent. Yu. Something big has happened. Now all the evidence on Weibo is that you maliciously framed Sheng Yue and Qi Xiao together. All your announcements are completely stopped. The company is going to deal with you now. You'd better come to the company now. Bai Yu almost couldn't stand. She did it so covertly, how could it happen? Her heart was bleeding. It must be the second master who took action, otherwise it would be impossible to find such complete evidence, and it happened at such a coincidence. Bai Yu could only hang up the phone and went to the company angrily. She felt even more resentful towards Sheng Yue. In the banquet, Sheng Yue was a little tired of dealing with waves of people, although Qin Yanji was always by her side. Qin Yanji noticed Sheng Yue's mood, declined everyone who came after him, and took Sheng Yue to the lounge to rest. Second master, I'll just rest here, you go back. Sheng Yue looked at the wanton Qin Yanji and felt a little worried. Today, he had already made an exception for her and didn't want to cause any more trouble for Qin Yanji. How do you play? Do you think I'm an eyesore? Qin Yanji raised his eyebrows, asked Sheng Yue to sit on the sofa, and personally took off her high heels for her. Such behavior made Sheng Yue even more confused about what to do. No, I just think you're too good to me. Sheng Yue said in a low voice, so good that she felt it was unreal, thinking that all this was a dream. Qi Xiao used to treat her like this. Be good, don't think too much. Qin Yanji gently rubbed Sheng Yue's head. I do have some things to deal with, you just rest here, call me if you have anything. As the host of the banquet, Qin Yanji was very busy. Sheng Yue nodded obediently, okay, go ahead. After Qin Yanji left, Sheng Yue lay flat on the sofa and closed her eyes to rest. Not long after, the door of the lounge was pushed open. Are you Sheng Yue? The visitor is Qin Xinlan, the heroine of today. But because of Qi Xiao's matter, Sheng Yue is the one who is in the spotlight today. Miss Qin. Sheng Yue immediately stood up and nodded slightly to show politeness. HMPH, you are indeed a foxy girl. You are quite pretty, but you want to enter the Qin family, dreaming. Leave my second brother as soon as possible, otherwise the family will not take action as simple as a few words from me. Qin Xinlan's tone was unkind, and his condescending attitude made Sheng Yue very unhappy. She seemed not to have offended this Qin Xinlan, so why did he come to ridicule her instead? Sheng Yue's face turned cold. Miss Qin, you are overthinking. I am not interested in your Qin family. Qin Xinlan was suspicious. Which woman would not want to sharpen her head to marry into the Qin family? She actually said she was not interested. You are little low class, no wonder my second brother was briefly fascinated by you, why are you pretending to be noble? Qin Xinlan had an expression that said I know everything, arrogant and insolent. Sheng Yue frowned. This was the Qin family. She didn't want to cause trouble, but Qin Xinlan's attitude made her very unhappy. She simply ignored her and continued to lie down to rest. Out of sight, out of mind. She won't say anything, okay? You. Qin Xinlan was so angry that she couldn't speak when she saw Sheng Yue's attitude. She said angrily, don't think you can turn your face away by relying on the favor of my second brother. Sheng Yue, you are not qualified, don't you know? Hey! Qin Xinlan stamped her feet in anger. It was like talking to a cow. She left the lounge in anger. Sheng Yue took a deep breath and doubted her constitution. Why did everyone want her to be unhappy? Qin Xinlan's words really hurt her. She shouldn't have dreamed of having a future with Qin Yanji. It's fine like this. In the adult world, we take one step at a time. It's enough to be happy now. However, she still felt a little sour in her heart. Sheng Yue completely lost her sleepiness and simply sat up. Qin Yanji's attitude towards her now is enough to make any girl's heart beat, and she is no exception. Qin Yanji. Sheng Yue covered her heart, sadness swept through her body, and she didn't know if this step was right. Qin Yanji didn't know that Qin Xinlan had already gone to find Sheng Yue. After the banquet, he found that Sheng Yue was not in a good mood. Logically speaking, she should be relieved today by tearing up the scumbag with her hands. On their way home, Sheng Yue was very depressed all the way, didn't say a word, and deliberately avoided his actions. After arriving home, Sheng Yue was about to enter the door, but was stopped by Qin Yanji. Sheng Yue, you are very strange today. Qin Yanji spoke directly. He didn't want any twists and turns between the two of them. Second master, I'm very tired today and want to rest. Sheng Yue bit her lower lip lightly, not daring to look into Qin Yanji's eyes. Look at me. Chapter 27 Quarrel. Second master, thank you for what happened today. I'm just a little upset and want to be alone for a while. Is that okay? Sheng Yue looked gloomy, holding her skirt with her left hand, feeling uneasy. She couldn't figure out the relationship between herself and Qin Yanji. She didn't dare to take a step forward, and didn't want to take a step back, which made her feel confused. She didn't know how to face Qin Yanji. Qin Xinlan's words lingered in her ears. For her, everything today could be like flying up the tree or falling to the bottom of the valley. Okay, have a good rest. Qin Yanji nodded and sent her to the door of Lian Mianju before walking back. Sheng Yue looked at his back, her eyes dimmed, and she turned back to their house, her back looking a little lonely. Second master. The assistant was waiting beside the car and opened the door for Qin Yanji. Qin Yanji sat in the passenger seat and looked at Lian Mianju. The light in the master bedroom was still on, and there was no sign of it going out. Although she didn't know why Sheng Yue was in a bad mood, the only thing that could affect her mood was that person. Assistant Lin, stop all of Qixiao's business, search for evidence of Sheng Yue's property, and hand it over to the top lawyer. Contact Director Jin Ming, I heard he has a good script. Qin Yanji ordered lightly, his voice low. Yes, second master. The next day, when Sheng Yue went downstairs, Aunt Zhang had already prepared breakfast. As rich as ever, Sheng Yue looked at the table of dishes and her worries surged in her heart. Last night she almost didn't sleep all night, and only fell asleep in a daze later, and the dark circles on her face couldn't be covered. Aunt Zhang, keep it simple in the future, I can't finish it by myself. Aunt Zhang responded, okay, Miss Sheng. Aunt Zhang saw it and was worried about Sheng Yue's condition, so she reported the situation to Qin Yanji. Sheng Yue was eating breakfast when the phone rang again. It was Qi Yunmai. Sheng Yue hung up without thinking, and knew why she called without thinking. But the other end of the phone seemed to be unwilling to give up, and kept calling, which annoyed Sheng Yue. She wanted to block the call, but unexpectedly, she swiped and clicked to answer. As soon as she answered the call, Qi Yunmai began to speak in a shrewish tone, Sheng Yue, you bitch. You still know how to answer the phone. Qixia was ruined by you, don't you know? I said you said jinx. Although she didn't press the hands-free button, Qi Yunmai's voice was close to a roar, and the echo echoed in the empty room. Even Zhang Ma heard every word, which made Sheng Yue very embarrassed. Qixia was asking for trouble, please don't bother me in the future. Sheng Yue finished speaking quickly, hung up the phone and blocked it immediately, and the action was done in one go. It ruined my mood early in the morning. Even the delicious food tasted like chewing wax. Sheng Yue simply put down the bowl and chopsticks and let Zhang Ma take it away. A person sat at the table, his eyes were dazed, he just sat there blankly, not knowing what day it was. Dong, dong, dong. Qin Yanji knocked on the table to wake up Sheng Yue, who was wondering. Second master. Sheng Yue shook her head, her eyes became clearer, and she was a little surprised by Qin Yanji's arrival. Yeah. Qin Yanji didn't say anything, he sat down next to Sheng Yue, asked Aunt Zhang to serve breakfast again, and started eating as if no one was around. Watching Qin Yanji eat slowly, Sheng Yue, who originally had no appetite, was aroused by him. For some reason, watching Qin Yanji eat breakfast was actually a kind of enjoyment, and there was a sense of dignity in his every move. Gugugu. Sheng Yue's stomach made an inopportune rumble, which made her very embarrassed. This stomach is too disappointing. Aunt Zhang. Qin Yanji called softly without raising his head. Aunt Zhang understood immediately and brought the breakfast that had been warmed up to Sheng Yue again. Sheng Yue didn't care about face anymore, she smiled and ate happily. During breakfast, the two of them didn't say anything extra, they ate their own food, but Sheng Yue felt very relieved. After eating, Sheng Yue felt a little better. Just as she was about to say that she was going out to the company, she heard Qin Yinji's voice. You don't sleep well or eat well, Sheng Yue, what are you doing? Sheng Yue paused and glanced at Aunt Zhang. Miss Sheng, I told the second master. Aunt Zhang said truthfully. Sheng Yue said, oh, knowing that Aunt Zhang was concerned about her, and looked at Qin Yinji, are you spying on me? Aunt Zhang saw something was wrong, and was afraid that the two would quarrel, so she hurriedly said, Miss Sheng, I took the initiative to tell the second master. I saw that Miss Sheng was in a bad mental state and had not eaten breakfast, so I sent a message to the second master. Don't blame the second master. Aunt Zhang's explanation did not ease the atmosphere between the two. Qin Yinji stared at Sheng Yue with his dark eyes, and his deep eyes reflected her face. You just need to answer why I did this. His tone was not good. He was angry that Sheng Yue did not take good care of her body, so his tone was inevitably a little anxious. Hearing this in Sheng Yue's ears, it was like igniting a bomb. You question me. Sheng Yue pulled the corner of her lips, her voice was cold. Qin Yinji did not speak, and a layer of frost appeared on his face. The two of them were so stiff, and the air seemed to condense in an instant. Half a minute later, Sheng Yue seemed to compromise and relieved, and said, Second master, I am a bird you raise. I shouldn't not sleep or eat. I'm sorry. Her expression was indifferent, and there was no attachment in her tone, calm and peaceful. However, these two sentences were not the answers Qin Yinji wanted. He clearly didn't mean that, and he was instantly furious. But when he saw Sheng Yue, the anger inexplicably disappeared, and in the end he said nothing and left Lian Mianju. The relationship between the two people has reached a freezing point for the first time since they met. Yesterday, they were still as loving as a fairy couple. Sheng Yue rubbed her head, stopped thinking about these things, packed up and took a taxi to the company. Xinchao Media is located in the city center, where high-rise buildings are everywhere and the streets are busy. The bustling crowd is like a tide, the neon lights are dazzling, the lights are hazy, and it is both real and unreal. Sheng Yue was in a low mood, and her heart seemed to be grabbed by something and she couldn't breathe. Knowing that Qin Yinji was concerned about her, why did she quarrel with him? Before she had time to think about it, Sheng Yue was summoned by her agent to the boss's office as soon as she arrived at the company. Sister Wen, is there anything wrong with Mr. Mo? Sheng Yue asked tentatively. Every time she was summoned by the boss, it was always bad news. She would ask first. Yuan Baiyoyo's matter has become so big. What do you think it is? Wen Qiao's attitude was neither cold nor warm. She liked Bai Yuyu more than Sheng Yue and promoted her to the second-line position. As a result, she didn't sleep all night after this incident broke out. Now she can only abandon the car to save the driver. But the cause of the incident was Sheng Yue, so she couldn't have a good face for Sheng Yue.